Okay. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. What's going on? Hope you're all doing well on this Thursday evening. How you doing, Aaron?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Some interesting stuff going on today. You said maybe we'll argue with fans. I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone,
Oh,
because we're kind of
really?
starting late. So if someone wants to come on and argue this, that's fine. There are some other, there's some interesting stories going on today that we can talk about.
Now
And
is Republican Vice President.
there was a
Yes.
clip you wanted to watch. This was the JD Vance being grilled, get it, grilled, about the potential grillings of cats and
Right.
dogs. I believe you wanted to watch this.
Yeah, did you see this clip? I mean, a bunch of people responded to this clip. I'm wondering why we didn't respond to it. Just because it's like,
I saw part of it. Yeah, I saw part of it. This
you
is
didn't see
where
it all?
is this the clip where JD Vance gives the horrendous answer of
Yes. Yeah, it is.
creating stories or
He
something?
gives that horrendous answer, but also, I mean, man, he's pretty on it. This is like an amazing performance for such a hostile interview. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with JD
Well, it's too
Vance on
bad he
this.
totally dropped the ball on this one question, which is
Yeah,
all the
because
only
they
part that gets
spun it
clipped and
around.
anyone
Yeah,
cares about. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like you do an interview that's amazing, like a master class in how to deal with
Right.
the press, and you mess up one way and the press just completely annihilates you on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if the presidential candidate Kamala Harris was able to be this adept at responding to questions?
It would be
Wouldn't
interesting.
it
Yeah.
be nice?
It would be nice.
Look, you've got Trump's VP here just killing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Kamala, I mean, not doing so good.
Is he really killing it if the one answer that he gives that goes viral is like this terrible answer?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. That's why I was
Okay.
curious your response. Look,
Right.
and you are known JD Vance hater. Look,
True.
JD Vance, like, I'm not a JD Vance hater, okay? Look,
Mm-hmm.
the cat lady thing, totally uncalled for, right? Like, especially as someone who doesn't have kids, like, we care about America, all right? Get off it, dude. Get over yourself, all right? Just because you have
Mm-hmm.
25 kids doesn't mean you love America any more than me. But
Mm-hmm.
the maybe he's made up for it here, trying to save all the cats, right? He's
Right.
definitely going in that direction. So, but yeah, I don't really think I'm not that. I think JD. Look, I like his custodial voting uh, position, so I'm more open to JD Vance being a good candidate. What do you not like about JD Vance?
I don't like that he's against liberalism. That he's
Okay.
anti-liberal. And
Well,
when I say
look
anti-liberal, I don't mean anti-democrat. I mean he's anti-Western democratic capitalism.
at least he has the common decency, Sitch, not to be open about that. Okay, it's a secret.
Well, that's the problem is that like I don't know what it's unclear what he believes in
But
terms of that
look,
regard, right?
you could say the exact same thing about Kamala Harris, and she's the presidential candidate.
I mean, I don't think
Oh,
Kamala
I
Harris.
got a sigh out of you.
I don't think Kamala Harris is is questionable about whether she, I mean, I guess you could say, okay, you don't know if she's a socialist or something, right? And I guess that's somewhat fair. I guess that's somewhat fair. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so okay, that's definitely a fair criticism because she's had like, well, actually, I think actually no, let me take it back. I do not think that
Oh
there
my
is
God, it
substantial
was.
evidence that has ever been presented that shows that Kamala Harris is a socialist. Okay. She's never even said anything around that. She has made very, very woke comments that I think she should 100% be challenged and questioned and called to answer for. That obviously she's not going to be because the press is not going to ask those questions. And Donald Trump is completely incapable as a candidate to ask, these sorts of questions in a debate setting
Why
properly to
is
Kamala
that?
Harris
Oh my
because
God,
his brain
why?
doesn't work. I don't know how to answer that question, right? Because he can't. He just can't fucking do it. And I don't know why. He either
Yeah,
can or
why
he
isn't
doesn't
he
want to.
grilling her on that kind of stuff in
He
the
should
debate
be.
instead of
He
being on the
should.
defense the entire time?
It's because he's fucking terrible at debating, I guess. Because you're right, he was on the debate the entire time, and the defense the entire time of the debate. But that being said, like if there was some instance where Kamala Harris was, I don't know, let's say like the guy who's like the number one, I don't know, this Noam Chomsky, or just say there's some number one like socialist guy who wants to sort of tear apart Western capitalism and Western democracy and replace it with socialism. And if Kamala Harris was like this guy's best fucking friend, and went to all of his talks and was involved with some community with this
Who is
guy,
the guy?
I don't know. I'm saying if this was a theoretical person on the left, if Kamala Harris was heavily involved with this person, everyone on the right would be flipping the fucking shit out. They'd be like, "Oh my god, Kamala Harris, secret socialist. What's going on here? Why should not
Who's
be asked all these questions?"
who is JD Vance secretly in love with?
With Curtis Yarvin.
Really? You
Yes.
think he's like a pal with Curtis Yarvin?
It's not a question. He is. He's 100%. Him and Peter Thiel are like they're funding the little Curtis Yarvin meetup every year.
Really?
There's like a Curtis. Yes. Why you wait? Why are you saying? You're doing like a bit? What the fuck's happening?
I've never been to this thing, so I've
We
heard
we've talked about this
rumors
on
about
stream.
it.
I've sent you articles about this. There's like this Curtis
I
Yarvin
sent
meetup
you an
thing.
article about it.
Okay,
I'm the
so
one
then you
that
do know. So why you acted like you fucking don't know what I'm talking
I'm
about?
the one that highlighted this stuff about the Yarvin. What are you
Okay,
talking?
so then I don't know why you're acting like you're
Go
confused.
back
You're
in
like,
our
really?
DMs
What's
like a
happening?
month
I don't
or 6
understand. Right?
months ago.
Okay, so I don't. So stop playing dumb with me, fucking jerk. Anyways,
It's
that's why I
hard.
don't like
Look, so
Vance.
maybe he's Yarvin curious, but it doesn't mean he's a full-on monarchist.
Well, we don't know because
Mhm.
it's not clear. If he came out and said, some statement about, okay,
I'm not
I
talking
agree
about
with
monarchy because
Curtis
they're
Yarvin.
idiots, and they
If
should be condemned totally.
There you go. No, but if he came out and he made some comment about like, oh, I agree with Curtis Yarvin on XYZ, and I disagree with him on ABC, right? Then we could have a conversation, but we don't know. Okay, we
Mhm.
don't know. And I'm going to assume, I think rightfully, that anyone who sucks the Yarvin schlurp is anti-democracy
Look, I
generally.
think it's a bit much to say that he's slurping the Yarvin schlong. Okay,
That
I think
that's
I
not
don't
not
think
all
that
okay.
is.
That's not what all those
I
articles are
don't think
saying.
that has been. Those articles say that he's on. He's got his knee pads
Yes,
out for Curtis
that's what those
Yarvin.
articles said. They said that there's a picture of JD Vance, all
Oh
right,
my
bending
god!
over and taking it from
Now,
Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin is dressed up
oh,
like a couch, all right.
oh my god! You
He's
now
got like the
you're.
pattern on his outfit and
Who
everything.
is
So
gaslighting who now?
there you go.
Look, I gotta say the chat is very much a fan of me gaslighting you. So
I know what the fuck.
there will be more of it in the
And I'm over
future.
here trying to gaslight the fuck out of me. Like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm like,
Maybe
what do
we
you mean?
should
What am I
bring
talking about?
maybe we should bring some of those articles up before we actually look at
I
this
can't. I just
interview.
feel like we've talked about it to death, and
I
it's all inconclusive because he's never been at the media. And this actually drives me fucking crazy. You talk about our media apparatus in America sucking absolute dog shit, right? They hate JD Vance.
yeah,
This should
they
be a
I
question
know, no
that they
shit.
ask all the fucking time and demand an answer from him to say, what the fuck is up with your weird, love affair with Curtis Yarvin? This guy doesn't believe in fucking democracy, and yet you're on the ticket to be the fucking vice president. Do you support this? What's going on here? Right? How is this not the number one fucking question these stupid assholes aren't asking?
And it totally plays into their narrative that Trump is
Yes.
going to destroy democracy. They're
Yes.
such fucking morons.
It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Everyone in the media, they're idiots.
This is why when people make all these sort of claims about like, oh, so and so's not asking these questions, it's all conspiracy. I'm like, you're right. This is literally the perfect story to attack Trump with, to attack Vance with. And I don't know, I guess the media is just too retarded to talk about it or something, or they just think it's a too complicated of a story, or people don't care about it enough to focus on it. They're just going to go on the, eating pets thing forever.
We do have some people who might want to come on. Well, I guess we'll watch a little bit of this clip first. So people look already we're being accused of TDS in the chat. So
Okay.
which is kind of the atmosphere we want to
Well,
cultivate.
it's funny. It's so, I love it because it's like there's this guy, there's like this weird reply on Twitter. This guy's like, oh my God, why don't you guys criticize Trump enough? Some like left wing, Kamala
Who said
slurping
that?
shill. I don't
Oh
know,
my
some fucking
god.
like random account on Twitter. I get like every day. I swear to God, like clockwork, every day I will get one tweet or DM from some person who's like, oh my God, why do you guys care so much? What if for Trump? What did you guys all you do is attack
Since
Kamala every
when?
day? Right. And then literally like 10 minutes later, I will get another DM or another message or at on Twitter from someone like, "Oh my God, Sitch, why are you so hard on Trump? You have TDS. When are you gonna, finally realize that Trump is gonna save America?" I'm like, oh my God, this is just people. I hate everyone. I hate people. This is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna become the ultimate hater, right? I'm gonna just talk about how much
Become?
everyone
What are you
sucks.
talking about? Become?
That's true. I already am the ultimate hater.
Yeah, what? It's become nonsense.
That's true. That's a good point.
So everyone is talking about this racist movie, this Am I a Racist movie, and I so want to see it. So hopefully I get a chance to see it this weekend.
Nice. Did
Yeah.
you see also the thing that was going on with the this governor candidate in New York? I mean, in North Carolina.
No, I took up I pulled up the Pew Research Center thing that you sent me.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
let's
if
do
you
that. I thought that'd be funny
okay.
to do. So before we talk about the governor, so this new poll or quiz is going around, even though it's kind of old. It says, where do you fit in the political typology? Okay, are you faith and flag conservative, progressive left, or somewhere in between?
Oh
Where
no.
do you think you're gonna be, Adam?
Probably far left
Really?
California
Well,
artist.
okay.
I
Ready
don't
to do
know.
this? Let's
Look,
do
I
this.
might be a MAGA Republican. Who
Let's
knows?
find out. Let's find out, everybody.
You got to
Okay.
read it to me though. I'm really not in the
I
mood to
will read
read
it to
right
you.
now.
I will read it to you. Okay.
Okay. Do I just
Question.
click on start quiz? Is
Yeah,
that where I go?
just click on start. That's how it works.
Okay, boom. I started.
Okay. Question one. If you had to choose, would you rather A, have a smaller government providing fewer services or a bigger government providing more services?
Big government, go for it.
Nice.
Yeah, look
Okay.
at that.
When
Lots
you
of services.
when you
I
say
want the government to come out and wipe my fucking ass. That's right, government. Thank you. A little more to the side there. I think you missed a little.
when you say you favor a bigger government providing more services, do you think it would be better to modestly expand on government services or greatly expand?
Mmm. Hmm. This is a tough one. I mean, is I'm
Well,
gonna go modestly.
it's kind of a weird question because the first question is, would you rather have smaller government or a bigger government? And it's like, okay, I'm not thinking that in terms of like smaller or bigger than what we have. I'm thinking that in terms of like overall, most people on the right would probably say our government is too big,
Right.
right? So I'm thinking like, okay, kind of the way our government functions now would be the answer for bigger government. But then they say like, well, do you want to modestly expand? It's like, well, what if I'd want to keep it the same, right? Why is that not an
Right.
option?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I didn't click on smaller, so maybe it's a different question if you ask
Well,
smaller,
I
obviously.
hit modestly too. So,
Okay.
which of the following
Did you
statements
hit
come?
bigger government?
Of course I did.
Oh, look. Hilarious.
What am I? Some kind of libertarian? Question two. Which of the following statements come closest to your view? America's openness to people from all over the world is essential to who we are as a nation. If America is too open to people from all over the world, we risk losing our identity as a nation.
Oh my God. I can't these both
These are
I
difficult because I
both
feel
of
like,
them, yeah.
yeah, I feel like they're both true-ish. I don't know if you can stick by a specific one, like the way it's worded. This is why I don't like these sort of political tests because they give you these like very absolute statements, and I'm like, listen,
Look,
I'm an
I
enlightened
can't I
centrist.
want
Okay,
both of these. Yeah. Look, I
right.
circle all of them.
Yeah, but
I
you gotta
can't
choose
decide
one.
between the Well, I'm gonna choose I mean both are true. How do I
They
what do
are
you
both
mean?
true. Yeah.
Yeah. This is no.
No,
I already reject this quiz.
you have to choose one
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of the stream.
If I'm, but look, I can't This is Sophie's choice here. It's like, which child do you want to see murdered in front of you?
Well,
Neither. I love them
okay.
both. These are
I'm gonna
both my
choose. I'm
babies.
gonna tell you which one I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose the second one. If America's too open, we risk losing our identity. Because that's not saying that there's not going to be any immigration. It's just saying if we're too open, we risk losing our
Oh, that's
identity
a
as a
good.
nation,
That's
which I
true.
think is true.
But America's openness to people from all over the world is essential to who we are as a nation.
I think they're both true. But
We are a nation of
but
immigrants.
that like the way it's
I'm
phrased
going
is like,
one.
okay, wow, okay, that's
We'll
fair enough.
split.
We'll split it up. Okay.
We'll go into it's better that way anyway. Then
That's
we'll
right. We'll
see
get two different
which way.
results.
But I might actually have to start reading for myself, right?
Well, I'm assuming the questions are all the same. It says number three, in general, would you say experts who study a subject for many years are usually better at making good policy decisions about the subject matter than other people, usually worse at making good policy decisions, or neither better nor worse?
Hmm. Studying, yes, better. Well, it
Okay.
depends upon what it is, really.
Yes, that's a problem. It depends what you're an expert at, right?
Yeah, there's some problems that are just the more you study them, that's literally the definition of a wicked problem. The more you
Right.
study it, the more difficult it gets to solve because you keep uncovering hidden factors that you didn't consider the first time.
Right. But then also it's like, I mean, you can get in these weird situations where there's like expert alignment on something and it becomes very political, right? Like obviously we've seen a lot of experts have been
Yeah.
completely taken over by like the left. You know, we saw this heavily with the insanity when, you know, the BLM riots kind of broke out, protests slash riots broke out. And you had all the quote experts come out and say, well, they're not going to spread COVID. And you're like, what the fuck? Like like all those experts were telling us that we were going to spread COVID if we protested the lockdowns for like a month. And now you have even bigger protests and they're like, oh, it's totally fine. Like it's just so that's, I mean, this is like a hard question to answer.
I'm going to go with neither better nor worse.
Okay. I'm going to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to say usually better
Hmm.
because I guess the usual is going to do a lot of heavy lifting, right? It's like usually better, but not
Yeah.
always. Okay, number four, thinking about increased trade of goods and services between the US and other nations in recent debates, would you say the US has gained more than it's lost because of increased trade has helped lower prices and increase competitiveness for some US businesses, or lost more than it's gained because of increased trade?
Gain more than it's lost because of increased trade has helped lower prices and increase the competitiveness of the U.S. businesses.
So
And
number
this
one is
is
just
for open
trade good.
trade.
Yeah. So number one is trade with other countries good. Number two is trade with companies with
Hmm.
other countries bad.
I think it's gained more than it's
Okay.
lost.
I'm gonna agree with
Definitely.
that. Yeah. How much more, if anything, needs to be done to ensure equal rights for all Americans, regardless of their racial or ethnic backgrounds? A lot, a little, nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
See, but this is a problem in terms of, again, this question obviously it's going to be coded like if you answer a little or a lot or something like this is a left wing answer. But what if when I click a little, what I mean is I think that there needs to be done something done to ensure equal rights for white people.
I know.
Like then it's like, you know, because I think there does need to be.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna hit nothing at all too, because that's not how the quiz isn't going to take that for into consideration.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which of the following statements come closest to your view? Business corporations make too much profit. Most corporations make a fair and reasonable amount of profit.
Fair and reasonable.
Okay, really, I'm gonna say too much, so we're gonna deviate here. I'm gonna be
Are
the
we
big
really?
lefty
Look
here.
at you.
Yes,
I knew you were
tax the
Mr.
rich.
Mr.
Yes,
Price Gouger.
all right.
Tax the people. Don't tax the businesses. You want the businesses to grow and thrive. You want to
Uh,
incentivize people to keep the money in the business.
well, when I say too much profit, I mean in terms of not because I think it should be taxed. I'm joking, but I think too much in terms of I would like those profits to be spread out through wages instead. So,
Right.
how much, if at all, would it bother you to regularly hear people speak a language other than English in public places in your community? A lot,
A
some, not
lot,
much, not at all.
some, not much, not at all. Well, I mean, hmm. How much, if at all, would it bother you to regularly hear people speak a language other than English in public places in your community? Not much.
Yeah, because like this wouldn't bother me at all. Like you just find me like around people speaking. I don't give a shit. I only care if I have to talk to a person and they don't speak English. Then I'm like, fuck you, right?
Right.
If you're in some kind of like working some job and I require the services for something and I can't communicate with the person working there because they don't fucking speak English, then I'm like losing my mind. But if you're just like in a public place, why the fuck would I care?
Yeah. Look, this is a regular occurrence here in Los Angeles,
Of
and
course.
it doesn't really phase me. So It would be different if you never heard anyone speaking any English. Like you're just
Right,
like,
right.
oh my God, I'm the only English person, the only English speaking person left here.
Okay,
Anyway,
here's the tough one. All right. On a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 means you feel cold and negative as possible, and 100 means you feel as warm and positive possible, how do you feel towards Democrats and Republicans? Both on a scale of 0 to 100.
on a scale is where 0 means you feel as cold and negative as possible, and
Right. So
100
0
means
is
you.
bad and 100 is good. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just 50. Look,
Wow.
I'm
50-50
a-
for both of them? Really?
I'm
Interesting.
apathetic. Yeah, I'm
I think
apathetic to both parties.
I might put 30-30 for both of them.
Oh, really? You
I feel
feel
pretty down
cold
on
towards
both of the
them?
parties. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I
Actually,
fucking
I'm gonna
hate
listen.
these parties.
I gotta listen. I gotta annoy some people. I'm gonna say 30 for Democrats. I'm gonna say 20 for Republicans. I'm gonna give Republicans slightly
Oh
less.
my goodness.
Look at that.
Going after the Republicans.
That's right. Okay, question 9. Which of these statements best describe your opinion about the United States? The U.S. stands above all other countries in the world. Okay, that's obviously the answer, right?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't
obviously,
even read the
yes.
other choices because that's just the answer.
It's true, yeah.
Number 10. How much of a problem, if any, would you say each of the following are in countries today?
Did did you not
Pe-
read the other answers?
no, I didn't.
Let's read them at least.
Oh,
So
I already skipped it.
so the other
It's my
answers are the US is one of the greatest countries in the world along with some other countries. Well,
no,
that's not
lame,
true.
pathetic.
There are other countries that are better than the US. Look, you
Oh,
chose wisely. Look, it kind of was a waste
despicable.
of time even
I
reading
told
those.
you. Yeah, I don't even need to look. Yes,
Okay. Well, we got to know how bad the people are that made this.
that's true. Well, I like this
Anyway,
next question. Number 10. How much of a problem, if any, would you say each of the following are in your country? Number 1, people being too easily offended by things others say. I'm going to say that's a major
it
problem.
is a major problem. Easy,
Okay.
easy, easy
Yeah,
question.
easy. People saying things that are very offensive to others. I'm going to say not a problem. Boom.
Hmm. Is it? Uh, I'm gonna say it's a.
Minor problem. What are
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna
thinking
say it's a
here?
minor problem.
What's the thought process?
I'm just like the Democrats' whole like game plan is to call everyone who votes for Donald Trump a fucking neo-Nazi.
True, but again, you know that's not what they mean when they ask the question.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
That's the
these
problem with all these
these
tests,
fucking bastards. You're right.
right?
That's not what they mean.
Yeah.
I don't care. Let it roll.
Okay. Which comes closer to your view of candidates for political office, even if neither are exactly right? I usually feel like there is at least one candidate who shares most of my views. None of the candidates represent my views well.
It's number two, obviously.
Okay, I agree with that. Yeah.
No, they can't. I keep thinking, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh,
It's
here we
so,
go.
you guys are so lucky. If you guys are, MAGA, I love Donald Trump, you guys are in a very lucky position.
Hmm.
If you're in look, Hutch goes to sleep at night with a picture of Kamala Harris looking down at him from the ceiling. Like,
Like a mural painted on on the ceiling, so you can look
yeah,
up at
look,
it when he
imagine how
blinks.
good that is to feel to think, oh my
Right.
God, my candidate, I love her.
Yeah. And Scott Adams goes to sleep with he's got the Trump,
Oh,
body pillow
he
with
has definitely. He's got the full Trump body pillow. Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, 12. Number 12.
In general, how much do white people benefit from advantages in society that black people do not have?
Hmm.
I'm going to say not too much. I think it's a small amount, but not too much.
Yeah, and I mean I'm just guessing too. But I'll go with not too much too. I don't
Do you,
know. And
next
it's like
question.
this
Yeah,
is trouble because obviously there are some black people that have far more advantages than a lot of white
exactly.
people. So,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
I don't like that because it's a ecological fallacy. You can't really determine anything about individuals from groups.
Do you think greater social acceptance of people who are transgender is good for society, somewhat good, neither good or bad, somewhat bad, very bad? Wow, this is an
Mhm.
obnoxious question
It's
because I think that having social acceptance for people that legitimately have gender dysphoria is good.
Yeah.
But I do think that on the other hand, there's way too much, people that are being, uh, you know, believe that they have gender dysphoria when they probably don't.
Yeah,
So I have no clue how to answer this question.
it's tough because if you legitimately have gender dysphoria, yes, it's very good. But
Right.
if you get a false positive and you end up whacking your dick off
Right.
accidentally, right? Then it's very bad. So
Right.
it's
Yeah,
very bad
exactly.
for some people and
Yeah.
it's very good for other people. So,
I
and
get,
those people are in conflict with one another. So,
I guess the way to answer this, the way for I'm going to think about this is I believe there's probably more false positives that will end up being harmed than actual positives.
yeah,
So I guess I would answer
somewhat bad.
somewhat bad.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking the
based on
same
that.
thing. Somewhat
Right.
bad for society. But look, it's going to be counted against us like we're fucking bigots.
I know. I know.
Whatever. Life is
I
unfair.
True. Overall, would you say people who are convicted of crimes in this country serve too much time, too little time in prison, or the right amount of time in prison?
Overall,
I,
people are
I don't
convicted of
really know.
crimes anymore? What?
Right. Well, it's weird because like you hear stories on one hand of people who spend like all these time in prison. You're like, okay, and then you hear stories of people that just like kind of get in and out of prison. You're like, what the fuck?
It's just, I guess they're really trying to catalog our worldview. But I mean, obviously, some people spend way too much time, and some people, it's different people spend different.
Right.
Can't just say, oh, you'd say overall
I'm
here.
gonna take the centrist pivot and say overall the right amount of time.
I'm going to say too little time in prison
Okay.
because I think obviously
Hmm.
resisting arrest should be a capital offense.
There you go. Which of the following statements comes close to your views? Religion should be kept separate from government policies. Well, that's obviously the answer to the question. Don't even have to read the
Government
next one.
policy should support religious values and beliefs.
Oh, disgusting.
Depends upon what those religious values and beliefs are, right? All
Not
government
really.
policies do. Well, it depends. I guess it does depend. Religion, I'll just look, a wall of separation.
Yes, keep the wall. Build the wall. All right.
In the future, do you think?
U.S.
16, last
policies
question.
should try to keep it so America is the only military superpower. That's the answer to the question,
Yeah,
obviously.
totally.
Yeah. Okay.
It would be acceptable if another country became as militarily powerful as the United States. Why?
No,
This
it's
look,
terrible.
when I answered the big government questions, guys, this is the question I was anticipating right here. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
We need that big military. That's where the government spending should be. It's so funny because so many people are like, "No, we want a smaller government, but a bigger military."
Mm-hmm.
What? All right. Let's see processing.
Processing. Let's see
What'd you
what you got
get?
here. I got ambivalent right. I'm ambivalently on the right with 12% of the public.
Well, look, I got the same thing, but we answered
Well, we
the
only answered
best
a
fit
few
is
things different. Yeah.
ambivalent right along with 12% of the public. Only
Now this is
12% of the public?
like kind of shitty because look, here are the distinguishing features. It says that I'm fiscally conservative. Not
Mhm.
true. I'm socially moderate. I guess that's true, right? I'm socially moderate. Relatively low political engagement. I mean, maybe if I'm gonna,
That's
not gonna
completely
vote,
untrue.
but I'm pretty
That's
engaged
completely
politically.
untrue.
They have a picture of you voting, so huh. Okay. Interesting. Well, there you go.
Fiscally conservative, socially moderate, relatively low political engagement. Okay, that's bullshit.
Hmm.
Another institution, this is Pew Research Center, another
Yeah.
institution down the toilet.
Well, there you go. We're officially right wingers, Adam. We're ambivalently right wing.
Yeah, okay. We should have answered all those race questions about how people are racist against white people, and they would have counted more for the left.
They would have. They would have.
I
Yeah.
know.
But it would have confused the poll. So
Yeah.
interesting. There you go. What'd you guys get? Red 473 for $5 says, curious to see if either of you use Real Clear Politics. I really find studying the poll aggregates helpful. Yes, I agree. I look at it.
Real Clear Politics?
Yeah, they got the little, average, poll average, kind of doing like the Nate Silver thing.
Yeah, there's tons of, yeah.
Right.
Polling's kind of all over the place, though. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how helpful it's actually going to be.
Okay, do you want to watch this interview?
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yes, do it.
Look, and do you want to invite some people on, or are you just not, yeah,
If
you're
someone
not
wants to come on and argue
feeling in
with
the
you or me
mood?
about something, sure.
Okay. I got some DMs from people.
Nice.
I'll DM them and say we're streaming, see if they're around.
I just feel bad because we're streaming at like not the normal time, so they might not be prepared, you know. But if they're here and they want
Like
to
you're
talk, then
prepared.
sure.
We need to get a
I'm always
number.
prepared, baby.
We need to get a phone number for Zoom. So then people
Mm,
can just call the number. Like then pretty
mm.
much anyone can call in because they can talk on their phone. And the phone a lot of times has better sound than any like computer sound or anything like
People,
that. So
you can use Zoom on your phone, can't you?
oh yeah, I guess they do just use the Zoom
Right.
link, right?
Yeah.
And the Zoom
Yeah.
app. Yeah, what am I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Who needs a phone number? Fuck
There
that.
you go. Yeah. What are
But what
we?
if they don't have a smartphone?
1990? Okay.
What if they just want to call
If you
in?
don't have a smartphone, then you're probably a Hezbollah terrorist, and you're gonna get your face blown up when you
Still
put that up to
working
your
with the
face.
pager guys?
You know,
Jeez.
there's some good news on that story because we talked about obviously there's a big story where a bunch of Hezbollah people's pagers blew up, and now I think some other people's walkie-talkies blew up. And I was worried. I said, this is bad news because if someone can hack your phone and make it explode, that's scary shit. But it turns out that's probably not what happened. It turns out it seems like they actually put bombs in the pagers
No
or
way.
something.
So they're special pagers.
They were special pagers, yes, and that's why they exploded.
Interesting.
So that makes me feel
Interesting.
so much better because I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, we're all safe. All of us who still who lug a pager around.
The reaction to that was very interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've been seeing people reacting to this attack or not. Let me see. There's
I
someone
have
who
not. No, I try to ignore everyone who's around.
it's actually funny. Brianna Wu had an interesting reaction to this. She so AOC said regarding the pager attack, Israel's pager attack in Lebanon detonated thousands of handheld devices across a slew of public spaces, seriously injuring and killing innocent civilians. This attack clearly and unequivocally violates international humanitarian law and undermines U.S. efforts to prevent a wider conflict. Congress needs a full accounting of the attack, including an answer from the State Department as to whether any U.S. assistance went into development or deployment of this technology.
Hmm.
Now, this is interesting because, like, while I assume there's probably some innocent people that were harmed, this is probably the most precise, widespread attack on a terrorist organization ever, because the only way that people got these pagers was they had to get them through Hezbollah specifically. So it's pretty easy to say everyone that had one of these pagers was someone working with Hezbollah, was someone working with a terrorist organization.
Right.
And the bombs were small enough that they damaged the people that had them, and they didn't, generally kill people around them or anything like that.
That's like a
And
huge
so,
win right there.
right, so it is kind of weird, and I guess not weird, when you have the America Bad crowd on the left who looks at this and they start losing their mind about the situation. You're like, okay, who cares? A bunch of terrorists got their balls blown off, their faces blown off,
Got
their
their
fingers
nuts
blown off.
blown off.
Right, or whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, who cares?
Was there a dick detector in the bomb? That's what
There
I want
was
to
a
know.
dick detector. Yes,
That's
exactly.
like whenever it
Exactly.
comes in contact with
Right.
penile flesh, it's like boom.
So Brown Wu on Twitter said Israel literally launches the most ingenious attack in history to deal with the genocidal terrorist group with the least amount of civilian collateral damage. Instead of getting praise, they get screamed at. This is in response to the AOC tweet. People who know better don't even mention they're taking out terrorists. Then Brianna said, just be honest and admit you don't want Jews to defend themselves. You want them to quietly die as their homes are vaporized by missiles. Wow. And then she followed that up saying, God, I'm fucking done. So many people I used to respect really have shown their whole ass since October 7th. Who the fuck have I been standing next to for the last decade? Look at that.
Yeah, she doesn't understand that these people have been brainwashed in college. Like she's
Yes.
older, so she got out of there, but otherwise she'd be
Right, right.
brainwashed too. Well, she's brainwashed on the feminism stuff. We've tried to talk to her about the feminism stuff, and it's just as bad. It's like, oh my
Mhm.
God, you're totally brainwashed.
Right. Well, I mean, she has like a personal history with the feminism stuff. So it's
All these
probably
people
like,
have a personal history with the Palestine stuff because all the people in college, went to protests and stuff.
right.
They got
No,
their
that's
first
exact. That's what I
kiss
mean.
at a
Right.
Palestine protest.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying that the personal history is correct. I'm just saying that, like, since because she has a personal history and because, the Gamergate stuff and all this stuff, it's like, it's much harder to change your mind on this core part of your identity, which, the Israel
Right.
Palestine stuff, I'm assuming was never really part of her identity at any point. So,
Yeah, this is that's exactly right. This is so part of their identity.
mhm.
Yeah. Their whole friend group is caught up in this stuff. So look,
So
I feel bad for the Palestinian people as well, but I mean, these people are making excuses for terrorists.
now the only the only criticism I saw of this that I actually thought has some merit to was from TYT. They sort of were not happy with this, but they weren't happy with it from the perspective of that America's been telling Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu to sort of like wrap up the conflict. Obviously, this is going to create more involvement in the region. Now, I'm skeptical. They're kind of going off on like they think this is going to mean, America direct involvement. I'm very skeptical of that. I don't think this is going to lead to American boots on the grounds or anything like that
In Israel,
whatsoever.
can you imagine American troops in
In
Gaza? Get
Lebanon,
the
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
out of
yeah,
here.
or Iran or something. Yeah, so I don't think anything that's gonna happen. Well, I do 100% agree that Bibi, his intention is to keep the conflict going for as long as possible, and he is trying to, in my opinion, definitely trying to start a broader war with Iran or Lebanon or Syria or some other country because he has all these criminal charges pending. Essentially, as soon as he gets out of office, he knows he'll get slammed with this stuff. And then also he'll get probably investigated for allowing October 7th to happen in the first place. So he's trying to stay in power as long as possible, and that kind of relies on keeping this conflict going as long as possible. So I agree with all that, but I don't know if this like pager walkie-talkie attack, I don't know if you could say that that has anything to do with this because this is like obviously they had to create these, put these bombs in these pagers and get them to Hezbollah and get them to be handed out and do all this stuff. Like this is something that I'm assuming took them, you know, quite a bit of setup and time and has been going on for, months or if not a year or longer. This feels like an operation that would have been going, had a timetable that would have been going on regardless of anything Bibi Netanyahu had done because of the setup required, the physical setup required.
Right.
So
This is a good opportunity to bring up the two unthinkable options in the kind of dictator's handbook scenario because like you basically lay out the argument in dictator's handbook that these political leaders who are facing doom once they get out of office, Bibi Netanyahu is obviously in legal jeopardy, right?
mhm.
He's going to do things that are probably not in the country's best interest to stay in office, right?
Mhm.
So the two unthinkable options are like not prosecuting presidential wrongdoing so that these people can, are not doing these crazy shit to stay in office, or prosecuting presidential wrongdoing so these people do insane shit to stay in office. Like both options are kind of like horrible. But the dictator's handbook, they come down on the side of, well, this is what banana republics do, right? They go
Right.
after their political enemies. So every single leader, once they get in office, they hang on by the by their fingernails, basically, to stay in power, and they end up ultimately becoming corrupt, doing corrupt stuff.
Well, and I get part of the wicked problem element of it too, is it's not even just banana republics. Like, this came up or uh hold on,
Well,
I'm
even
looking at my
even
cup
look,
here.
even if you
Got weird
talk about
divots.
this stuff, I mean, people get super triggered by it. They're like, "Do you think like presidential presidents are above the law?
Only if
You
they're on my
think
political team.
politicians are above the law?"
Right.
Which, look, I don't think anyone should be above the law, but there is this little problem.
Right, 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 right. No, no. What I was gonna say is, before I got distracted, looking at my cup has a weird like divot in it, and I couldn't tell if it got
Oh
like
my
warped.
God, let the divot go.
No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like broken. Anyway, um, so this I was thinking about this the other day and I don't know if I've brought this. I think I brought it up once or twice. Whenever we talk about the electors scheme, and people they ask the question, why would it matter? Like, so what if Donald Trump had thrown out half the country's votes and been declared president? Was that really such a big deal? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
And
it is
there's
a
an
big
element,
deal. It's a huge deal.
it's a huge deal, but there's an element to this that I haven't really talked about and those people haven't thought about. And it kind of relates to what you're saying, which is imagine if the situation was reversed and the Democrats did this and they basically prevented Donald Trump from winning the election in 2016. They threw out the votes. Hillary is the president. Okay. Do you think that the Republican Party and the Republican voters would have just sat on their we're not even talking about the like violent revolution or anything like that. Okay. Just throw that all in your mind. But even if there was no violence, do you think Republican voters and the Republican pundits would have just sat around with their thumbs up their butt and said, oh, well, the Democrats literally stole an election from us and I guess we just had to take it? Or do you think they'd have said, oh my God, we need to throw these Democrats in jail for doing this? They literally stole an election. They need to go to jail. And then in 2020, in the next election cycle, you would have had a major element, a major campaign issue for the Republican Party would have been candidates say whether they are going to support trying to put Democrats in jail for stealing the election in 2016 or not. Right. That would have been a major campaign issue for people to vote on. And I would imagine that the majority of Republican voters would vote for the candidate in the primary who says that they're going to make sure the Democrats who stole the election would go to jail.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
And so this is the problem with the scenario is that now, obviously, in real life, it wasn't Democrats, it was Republicans. And so if Donald Trump had successfully, stolen the election, thrown out half the vote, you would have, and you're delusional if you don't think this is going to happen, you would have 100% had created a situation where now the Democrats, for indefinitely until the end of time, until they gain power again, are going to be running on, we will throw Donald Trump and every Republican politician involved in this process in jail for stealing the election. That will be the big issue in 2024, right? If Donald Trump had been successful, we're going to throw
Right.
Donald Trump and all the Republicans that involved in this in jail. And they
I
would
mean, it's
have,
still in it. It is still, even though, like, that's still going on. Obviously, the
right. No, but
prosecutions are.
yes, it's going on. Yeah, but it would have been a literal campaign issue. It wouldn't have been any of this like, oh, the Department of Justice is separate from the administration,
No, of course
and
not.
no,
Yeah.
no, it would have been literally,
It would have
you
been
elect me,
explicit.
I will fucking throw Donald Trump in jail. I will throw every Republican in the House that voted for this in jail. I will throw every politician that voted for this in jail. If the Supreme Court signed off on this, I will throw those people. It would have been that. And this creates a big problem because number one, obviously Democrats could win and throw those people in jail. But number two, are the Republicans who now literally know that if they lose, they will go to fucking prison. Are they going to just sit back and take that? Of course not. They're going to try to hold on to power as long as possible, using any dirty tricks as possible to save and to save their own lives, to protect their own safety.
Right.
And this is exactly the problem that you're talking about when you talk about Dictator's Handbook and how dictators will essentially want to stay in power indefinitely just to make sure they never go to prison. So
Yep.
this
Yeah.
is why it's important to have votes and an election and everyone to just not be a fucking whiny bitch about this shit when you lose.
Well, look, and I just, I don't, I don't like the fact that you can't really even have this conversation without people just completely going into full straw man mode and like painting you as if you're in favor of either of these options, right?
Hmm.
When it's pretty obvious both of these are terrible options.
I'm not in
But
favor of these options. I'm just telling you literally what will happen. And if you don't see that that's what will happen, then you don't understand how any power works in reality, because that is exactly what will happen.
right.
And you're already seeing it now. You're already seeing that, the Justice Department go after Trump when he was unsuccessful. If you honestly think that there wouldn't be the Justice Department, the Democrats wouldn't run on throwing Trump in prison if he was successful at overturning the election, you're crazy if you don't think that. Obviously, they would. And so, are the Republicans just going to sit around and go, "Well, I guess we're just supposed to take it. We're just supposed to bend over and go to prison when the Democrats, win the next election and gain power again."
No, they're going to be like, look, we'll do anything to make sure that they never
Of
win
course,
power again.
right.
And
So it's
power
just,
sharing completely breaks down. And the
yep,
next thing you know, you've got a one party system.
yep,
You're basically China
yep.
or Russia. Yeah. So I don't know. You got to have these conversations, though, without people going, oh my God, you're in favor of just letting everyone get away with murder. All you want to do is let them get away with murder.
Right,
We
right.
got to throw all their asses in jail. Everyone, always.
Hmm.
Even for jaywalking. He looked at someone funny. Did you see the way he responded to Oprah? Oh my God, throw his ass in jail.
Oh yeah. So Kamala Harris and Oprah are doing some
Oh,
fucking
I know.
cringy virtual town hall tonight.
Is
So
that happening tonight? Oh,
tonight at 8 o'clock, I believe. So we'll
are
see
we
how
going
that
to tune
goes.
in for that or what?
I mean, I guess. I don't, probably nothing interesting is gonna happen. It's just gonna be, like, oh my God, I love Kamala. You should all support her. She's so based. Trump is so bad. It's not gonna be anything interesting, I imagine.
Mm,
So before we watch this clip, saw about this other story really quick. They're the North Carolina nominee for governor on the GOP side is a guy named Mark Robinson, who is
okay.
black, who is black, as
Oh,
Trump would
Mr.
say.
Please, Mr.
Yeah.
Robinson.
Yes, there you go.
Yes.
Only 10
And
people understood that
did you
reference.
say he was a black person?
He is a black person. Okay.
Okay.
Apparently, it has been discovered. Well, there's some controversy because he's denying this. Some news organizations believe that they found his account on a pornographic website message
Oh,
board.
no.
Okay.
Well, I mean, was he making pornography?
No, he, like, it was a pornographic website that had a message board, and he posted a lot of comments on the message board.
Right. Well,
Okay.
what were the comments? Maybe I like
Well,
the guy more.
well, you're probably not. I'm telling
Oh
you
no.
the
Oh no. Oh no. Are they bad? They must be bad comments.
Yeah, in one of the comments, he refers to himself as a black Nazi and says that he thinks slavery is okay, and if that slavery was legal again, he would buy some slaves himself. So now,
He posted that.
well, okay, well here, so let me add some context here. Let me defend Mark Robinson a little bit here. So these comments were made between 2008 and 2012, so a while ago, obviously over 10 years ago, on a website called Nude Africa. Now, most of the websites I've seen that talk about this, none of them show the context, right? Because, like, I would hope. Now, I don't know, but I'd hope if you're on a
Yeah,
on
you're
a
like
forum,
trolling.
right? Like if you're on a message board for like a porn site, that you're trolling when you say things like "I'm a black Nazi" or "you like have slave." Like, what is the context of this? Is this a joke? Or is this supposed to be sincere? I don't know the answer to these questions. So, I do feel like it's a little unfair if we don't have the context, that everyone's kind of like attacking old Marky Mark here for these comments.
I mean, that's something Sitch has said on the show regularly. I mean, obviously he's joking.
I have never said those comments. What are you talking about? I would never say such a thing. Okay.
I mean, look, it is funny. It is pretty funny. I got a
Right.
laugh out of it. I mean, geez, it's just so outrageous.
It is funny. Well, that's also funny because apparently, when Trump endorsed him, he called him Martin Luther King on steroids.
Did
So
he really? Look,
yeah.
this guy has a flair for hyperbole. He'll do well in politics.
No, Trump said that of him. So now people
Oh,
are like,
okay.
oh, Trump called this guy Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids, and now he has some comment about him being a
Turns
black
out he's a
Nazi, and
black Nazi.
yeah, he's a black Nazi, and he wants to have slaves or something. So
Ugh, yes.
let's see
Slavery's
what
not
else
good,
he said.
kids.
Yeah, no, he said he's now obviously now he's just denying. He's saying that all these like comments are not his and that it's fake or something. So he's just
Somebody
completely
hacked
denying the whole
his
thing.
account, right? Someone
Yeah,
hacked his
Brianna
email
Greyjoy.
account.
Someone hacked his account, went back in time, and posted things he didn't mean to say.
No,
So,
that's what Joy Reid said. Remember when
oh, I'm
she
sorry.
did
Was
all
that
those
Joy Reid, not Brianna Greyjoy?
homophobic?
Sorry, that was Joy Reid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other crazy lady. Let's see. What else did he say? He called this salacious tabloid trash. Blah
Well,
blah
of course, that's
blah.
true, but you
Right.
know,
CNN had a super long article about it. He made some comment. Oh, he said something about how he told a story about how when he was 14, he was like found a ladder that like allowed him to spy on women changing or something.
hmm
And I'm like, okay, I don't care if a 14-year-old boy was peeping on women. I mean, you shouldn't do it, obviously, but I
you're
don't
willing to
really.
forgive the 14-year-old peeping
I think I
Tom.
am. I think I'm. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to hold the guy in his 40s responsible for peeping on women when he was 14. You
No,
know?
if you peeped when you were 14, you
Yeah.
belong in prison for life.
Okay.
Okay? No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. Obviously, it's a little,
Right.
yeah.
Let's see. He also it was interesting. He's been very anti-trans, but apparently there are comments on this website about him talking about whacking it to trans pornography.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
So
he's in big trouble now. He's in a Republican primary,
he
bragging
said
about how much he likes trans women.
he said on the message board. So this website was called Nude Africa.
Right. Yeah, you said that. I was like,
Yeah.
is it like a National Geographic type website where they, what does that mean?
I'm assuming that means it was a website that showed primarily like naked black people.
Right.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
So
From
he
Africa
said,
or?
quote, this is what Robinson said, quote, he said, I should send this. I should make Adam have this clip, but I'll spare him. Robinson supposedly made this comment on this website saying, quote, I like watching tranny on girl porn. That's fucking hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in.
Well, I mean, that's just pragmatic.
We know where
He
he
sounds
stands
like,
on the POV question. Okay. He is not in the POV spot here. He's like, I don't like watching porn. It's gay. I watch another man here. But whether you have a trans woman, it solves the problem. That's hilarious. That's so funny. I
hmm,
listen. That's a funny comment.
yeah. Makes me think he is trolling.
You're just, I mean, obviously, if you're commenting on a message board of a porn site, you're trying to be like, there's a certain attitude you're going to cultivate in terms of how you react to things. So,
You think?
yeah. Let's see. He said in 2010 about a celebrity having an abortion, he said, I don't care. I just want to see the sex tape. Okay, who cares?
Hmm.
He said, in another thread, commenters considered whether to believe the story of a woman who said she was raped by her taxi driver while drunk. In response, he wrote, the moral of the story is don't fuck a white bitch. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, in response to a dedication of a memorial to Martin Luther King Jr. by then President Barack Obama, he said, get that fucking commie bastard off the National Mall. Ooh, okay, that's not good.
Ooh. Ooh.
That's a little bit more problematic than the trans comment.
Especially
So
being as he wasn't he compared to Martin Luther King by Trump?
by Trump, yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. That's not a good look.
He said, quote, I'm not in the KKK. They don't let blacks join. If I was in the KKK, I would have called him Martin Lucifer. Okay, interesting.
Oh my word.
Right.
My word. When did this story
Wow.
drop? This is like
Today. It's today. Yeah.
this is tabloid drama.
Let's see.
Where's he running? Where's this guy going to be
North
a senator at?
Carolina.
Oh,
North
okay.
Carolina. Yeah.
And he's running as a
Republican.
Republican for Congress or
Governor.
governor?
Yeah.
Governor. Governor of
Governor.
the entire state?
Governor of the entire state. Yes.
Wow.
This is obviously not good for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he
Yeah, I was
loses.
going to say like if he was running for congressional district, maybe this will slide. Governor, hard to say.
Mm-hmm. They kind of go over a bunch of evidence that makes it seem pretty significant, like this account is in fact his account, because apparently he used like the same email address on a lot of the porn sites. And he was on more than one. He was on Adult Friend Finder. I think he was on Ashley
Oof.
Madison, which isn't Ashley Madison supposed to be like a website when you're like looking to cheat on
Is that
your
how they
wife
got
or
his
something?
info? Because hackers got into Ashley Madison's database and published all the records. That might be how
Oh,
they
I don't.
actually found this information.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All it says is an email address belonging to North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson was registered on Ashley Madison, a
Yeah.
website designed for married people seeking to have affairs. Gross.
Right. So that leak on Ashley Madison exposed a lot of people and their contact information.
Right. I don't know if that's how
Right.
they found out though.
But that might be like his secret porn email. And once it was leaked
Right,
to
and then they
him,
traced it to everything
right. And
else,
then they found
maybe.
it on the other website. They're like, oh, look at this.
Listen, the moral of the story here, folks. When you register
Hmm.
for a porn site, use a different email and a different username for every porn site. Don't use the same one. Don't get lazy, okay? Because if you're ever running for governor, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want this to come back to bite you. Or if it does, they'll only find one. They won't find them all, right? You got to hide them all.
Right. One could be bad enough, though.
That's
I
true.
don't know. The friend finder website is pretty bad. So,
Hmm.
look, if a guy is going to cheat on his wife, what do you think he's going to do to his constituent?
I
Right?
mean, that's
You're
an
not
interesting
even
point. Yeah.
fucking him.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. Can you trust someone who's a cheater to run for office?
No,
I'd say
is the
probably not.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Is that why you're not going to vote for Donald Trump? Oh,
Oh.
oh. Okay,
Oh,
let's see. Did he
this
say
is
anything
two
else?
unthinkable options: Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Hmm.
He said, I don't know what this is in reference to. He said, I don't give two shakes of my black ass about them Mexicans kicking the shit out of them damn turkeys. Just kill them, clean them, and get them mofos on the truck so they can be at the store by Thanksgiving. I guess there's some story about like Mexicans kicking turkeys or something. I don't know what that's in reference to. So
Cruelty.
interesting. His name was Mini Soldier on this website. Let's see. Robinson revealed his unvarnished thoughts on issues such as race, gender, and abortion. He said, quote, I'm a black Nazi. Okay, well, I do want to know what the context is of saying I'm a black Nazi.
His unvarnished thoughts.
Yeah. The same month he said, I'm a black Nazi, he said, quote, slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring slavery back. I would certainly buy a few. It's not good. March 2012, Robinson wrote he oh, okay. Well, listen, maybe there is maybe I'm being a little too kind to Robinson here. Maybe all these comments are kind of creating a pattern. In March 2012, he said regarding Barack Obama's administration, I'd take Hitler over any of the shit that's in Washington right now. So that's not good.
That's weird.
Yeah, you have someone who says they're a black Nazi, says they prefer Hitler over Obama, so slavery is not bad.
How's this
Hmm.
just not contrarianism though? Like you got to
I don't
know
know what it is.
that's the
Right.
most trolly thing to ever say.
Hmm.
A lot of
I
times people just enjoy getting a rise out of people online. Like they would, like if it really came down to it, you had the easy button and Hitler would be in charge.
Well, it
It's
depends who you're talking to. If you're on a pornographic website forum, I don't think there's people that are easily offended on that message board in
yeah,
2011.
that
Yeah.
explains why you got to go even harder, right?
Right.
But the question is, would they follow through? Like
I don't
if you
know.
could make that nightmare scenario play out, would they actually go for it? And it's hard for me to imagine that, but I don't know.
He called Martin Luther King a commie bastard, worse than a maggot, a ho fucking king phony, a huckster, and then the KKK thing that I read you.
Yeah, it's ironic that he's obviously a huckster too,
Right.
right?
Interesting. Interesting. So, yeah, obviously, I think this is going to substantially prevent and hurt his chances of winning. And I believe it was funny. The Trump campaign made some comment that He is not welcome at any campaign events, obviously.
Oh, Trump cut him off.
The Trump campaign, yeah, said that he's not welcome at any Trump events.
Really?
Yep.
So much for loyalty, right?
Mark Robinson's campaign has rejected claims that he's being called to drop out. Well, that's stupid. Obviously, being called dropped out. He is saying that he will not drop out. So we shall see how long that stays in effect. So that's a fun little story. Okay.
Anyone in the chat want to come on and argue with Sitch or me? You can DM me. Although I
There
do
you
think
go.
Ostracy said he would come on.
Sure.
All
Okay.
right.
Let's watch
Look, and
this
I want to
interview.
bring up Supervillains Anonymous. Obviously, this is your last chance to get the book. So, and right now we're at $72,000 and $72,590. So you guys have really been very intelligent here. You knew Adam was going to take forever to finish this
Mhm.
book, so you were like, "I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to do this until I have proof that the book is actually done." Well, it is done. We sent it off to the printer. So, and Sitch, you think we can get to like 75,000 by the end of this live stream, or is that just like
I think we can do it.
way too
I
extreme?
think it's doable. That's right.
I think we
Time
started off
is
the stream
running
like
out.
I think we started off the stream like less than 72,000. So I do
There
think
you
there's
go.
like already $600 there.
You have not ordered. Okay. Tick tock, tick tock.
Yeah.
Clock is running out here.
TikTok, TikTok, get off. Anyway,
Get off the pot.
let's go to the video.
Okay.
I'll
You brought
refresh
it
in a
up.
little bit and we'll see if we made that 75. I think that's probably a bit impossible, but we'll see.
Okay.
I got to bring up the JD Vance now. Now, JD Vance does have the bluest eyes in politics, I've noticed. Like,
Right.
he has natural eyeliner, so he's perfect to be a goth person, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, he's a Republican. Which are there many goth Republicans? Oh, wait, there's Razor Fists. What are we talking about here?
There you go.
Yeah, obviously. There's tons of goth Republicans now. All the goths, all the Gen X gothers grew up and turned into Republicans, right?
There you go. So Sulfo sent me this Medium post. It's about JD Vance. Says JD Vance, despite being elected to public office, aligns with the Dark Enlightenment movement. This movement, like many right wing fringe groups, believe the United States government is run by liberal elites and therefore ripe for dismantling. He has described Curtis Yarvin, the creator of Red Pill culture, as a major ideological influence. Vance openly acknowledges this, stating, quote, I think Curtis Yarvin's monarchy ideas are bonkers, but you know what? He's absolutely onto something real with his concept of the cathedral, and the nature of the fight in front of us now is such that we can't afford to be overly prissy with our allies.
Look, he's not about the monarchy. That's what's standing out to me.
Well, obviously that's what he said. Yeah, he said that. So that's important information to take in. However, I still have a massive problem with this statement, and he needs to be grilled on it. Because if JD Vance was just a person in passing who's like, oh yeah, I like Curtis Yarvin's ideas, the monarchy thing's stupid, right? But I like some of the stuff about the cathedral or whatever. Then he'd be like, oh, okay. That's fine. But the fact that he was so heavily invested in the movement, like literally showing up every year to hang out with Peter Thiel and Curtis Yarvin is like, okay, well, this is going beyond a passing, like, oh, I like what this guy said, right? This is going into the whole new realm of something unusual. And it's not a coincidence. There's like this really dishonest thing that's very obnoxious where when JD Vance was chosen to be VP, all those people on the sort of dissident right were all like fucking masturbating in joy over that pick. So obviously they were literally posting on Twitter, our guy, our guy, our guy. So obviously they perceive him as their guy too. And so that's why I do think it's very important that JD Vance actually be questioned and grilled on this topic to lay out exactly what his thoughts are, that he agrees with Curtis Yarvin, that he disagrees with Curtis Yarvin, why he was so in bed with him and Peter Thiel regarding Curtis Yarvin, and kind of lay this all out so that we, the American people, when you cast your vote, you know what the fuck exactly is, you're voting for.
I wonder if Anna can get JD Vance on TYT, because she would totally grill him on this stuff.
She would. She
She would
would.
just like get right in there and ask him about all that bonkers monarchy stuff.
Right.
Yeah. That'd be a good interview.
But thank you for sending me this, Astolfo.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Let's
let's
go.
watch this.
Presidential nominee J.D. Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city. And it was their words that did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why have I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about? Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to.
So, well, this really shows the massive mistake of, I guess, Trump. I don't know what Vance was saying specifically, but of Trump and sort of the Trump campaign pushing like the specific eating pets narrative in the first place. Because I feel like the way a Republican or a skilled politician would have handled this, before Trump, is you would have had this viral story, oh my God, they're eating pets, blah, 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 blah. And they would have talked like around it. They wouldn't have said the specific claim so that if it gets debunked, which, let's be real, if you're not a fucking mouth breathing moron, when you heard those original claims, you should have been skeptical of them, which, I guess Trump wasn't because Trump's a mouth breathing moron. But you would talk around them so you wouldn't necessarily point out and say, oh my God, they're eating the pets, blah, blah, blah. You'd be saying, oh my God, 20,000, Haitian migrants were resettled in a town of 60,000. You've increased the population by a third. This is like an insane amount. Obviously, this is a massive, drain on resources in the community. This is going to cause massive problems in the community. Like, you just like talk around it. So you use the publicity of the issue to kind of blow up the real issue, the real story about it. And then if it turns out that the eating pets thing is bullshit, which it turns out to be bullshit, then you don't get slammed with that. You don't have to do this dumb like dance here where you have to defend yourself for saying stupid shit.
Okay.
I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree?
Well, I'm apathetic about the story until I know the reality of the situation. Like, I agree, you should hedge. You should keep your options open in case the story turns out to be false. But I don't think And this is kind of the media's attitude. They jump in and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's impossible for this to ever happen." I don't think it's that impossible.
No, the
So
question is not. Question is that it's if you're the presidential candidate, you could even say like, we've heard reports of this. I don't know if it's true or not. If it's true, it's horrible.
yeah, look,
right?
that's the way to
Right?
do it. You hedge right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
obviously, but that would be another way to handle the situation. Well, this is what you would say if you were a normal politician or an intelligent politician. You'd say, we've heard reports of this, stuff. I don't know if it's true or not. It's horrible if it is true. But the real issue I talk about is, 20,000 immigrants, blah, 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 right? So then if it turns out to be false, you don't get slammed with it because you just said you don't know if it's true or not. You're not the one sitting out, around here painting a big fucking bullseye on your back to get slammed, which then dismisses the actual issue, which is that there is a problem having the population of a town increased by a third, over a few years.
Right. And both Trump and Vance did a bad job of that because Trump could have said that in the debate.
Right.
And I would argue that he kind of, that's what he meant, even though he did a bad job of articulating.
That is not what he meant.
They're eating.
He screamed, "They're eating the pets." Okay, he didn't mean. I've heard that maybe there's a unconfirmed report.
He should have gone with. He should have gone with. I've heard a lot of people say, that's his go-to phrase, right? A lot of people are saying, that's the way he always hedges. But look, Vance does even worse with the follow-up here, which is one of the reasons why I want to watch this. Is just insane how good he is in this interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yet that one mishap, using the word "create this story," it makes it sound like it's all fabricated. Yeah.
Right.
When he should say exactly what you said, right? We've heard reports of this from our constituents. Look, and he does kind of say that in the beginning. So, yeah, it's a huge
misstep. But then he goes into the whole, we've got viral calls of people calling, 911 about ducks in the park or whatever, right? So,
yeah. Look, you're taking a very strong stance that you're not hedging. You're basically saying, oh, you're a mouth-breathing moron if you think that this is remotely possible.
If you hear, wait. If you just, I didn't say that, okay, at all. Okay. I said you're a mouth-breathing moron if you bought it wholesale and didn't think it sounded sus, right?
Right.
That's what I said, you're mouth-breathing. If you just hear a fucking viral Twitter story or Facebook meme about, oh my God, there's a gang of migrants roaming the streets of Ohio, kidnapping people's pets and eating them. And you're like,
well, I'm glad you clarified. I'm glad you clarified.
We've all heard the phrase, was it like unbelievable claims require, unbelievable or strong evidence or whatever the fuck the phrase is, right?
Right. Yeah.
So when you hear this is the
problem
too.
Look, I don't see the claim being that unbelievable. The people were living. You've seen the reports of Haiti. It's complete degradation. Like the society has broken down. If those people are fleeing from that kind of environment and, they're hungry, they're going to fucking eat geese at the park. It's not even a big deal.
Okay. First of all, Carl Sagan, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Okay.
Yeah, I knew what
I think it's unusual to me that you don't think the claim that a bunch of legal migrants in the country are running around kidnapping and eating pets, you don't think that's an extraordinary claim. I think that's a massively extraordinary claim. It's a very on the nose claim.
What about the geese in the park?
No, because that's
an extraordinary claim?
No, that's not. That's literally when that story first came out. My exact statement was, I bet you will find that this story about the stealing of the pets is not true, but that people did in fact take geese or ducks from the park or were raising chickens to either eat them or to use them for some sort of ritualistic, sacrifice. I literally said
negative stereotypes here. Jeez.
Wait a minute. Wait, that's not a negative stereotype. People literally do that. Okay.
The ritualistic stuff?
Yes, people do it. Cubans do it in South Florida. They sacrifice some Cubans that practice Santeria will sacrifice chickens and shit. Okay, it's a real thing that people do. So that's why I made that exact statement.
Right.
Okay. And I feel like you're sort of bad face straw manning me here. I made this exact statement when it came out that the pets thing.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking for clarification.
Okay,
which
the clarification,
you are clarifying, which is
as
good.
I said,
yeah,
was that the the pets thing was probably 100% going to be shown to be not true, but that the ducks in the park thing has a possibility, even a good possibility of, yeah, there are probably instances of people, taking ducks or parks or, ducks from the park or, raising chickens to slaughter for ritualistic purposes or something. Okay.
Look, I
And
feed
that's
those
also
ducks.
another problem
Those
with
are
the,
like
with,
my pets.
well, that's another problem with the sort of the story is that all the elements of the story get conflated together. So that if you're on the left, you say all you do is you focus on the pet, on the eating cats thing, and you say, oh, they're eating cats, eating cats, eating cats. You're wrong about that. And then if you're on the right, you say, well, no, the duck thing, because there's that picture of a guy holding a duck, even though that guy is supposedly not Haitian anyway, and it's in a different city, but whatever. And so everyone just kind of focuses on like the part of the story that they think is their strongest.
Let me
case.
let me frame it this way. Okay. Let's say I live down the street from a nice park with a geese pond, right? And I go down there every single weekend and I bring my stale bread and I feed the geese.
Which you're not supposed to feed.
And there's one
geese anyway, but
not
does, yes.
Okay. Maybe some places you can, but
no. I mean, like bread is supposedly bad for them to eat.
There's one goose that follows me around, comes for the bread. Look, I've named the goose.
Yes.
Like I'm used to seeing the goose. The goose sees me coming from afar and runs towards me. He gets
excited, right?
Yeah.
You've watched that
and
goose.
And that goose gets killed and eaten by a Haitian migrant.
I know.
Can we then say that they're eating people's pets?
No, that's not your pet. It's a fucking wild goose.
Well, okay. God, you're such a hard ass.
I know.
Look. People love that goose.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the video.
To go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted.
How can you say it's baseless then? Like if 2 people made accusations, that's a base. That's where you start right there. That's the base of the claim.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Fucking idiot.
Yep.
God.
Alleged evidence are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just back.
Doing your fucking job, Dana Bash. Actually trying to investigate the claim. You fucking, God, the mainstream media drives me so crazy. They're such ivory tower pieces of shit.
To the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed. Nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander, you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
This is just straight reporting here. She's literally become an advocate for the Haitian migrants. Look at how, like, he keeps a smile the whole time. He keeps totally calm, cool, and collected. He doesn't get triggered. That's like, it's amazing. Sitch.
Yes, it is. It is. I agree that obviously, okay. I agree with half what you said, and I disagree with what you ended with, which is the media is being obviously very biased in the story, and they should actually get off their ass and investigate these claims to either prove or disprove them. Now, obviously, you'd say they probably don't want to investigate them because they don't want to.
Yeah, they're worried Vance is going to be correct.
Right. So they don't want to have to confirm anything, and that's why you have this weird. Christopher Rufo has to literally offer someone $5,000, and even then you get this kind of like really unverified video of something that you can't even tell what is being cooked on a fucking grill from a different city by not Haitians, essentially. So, but I agree with the media has completely dropped the ball on that. Where I disagree with you is that I disagree with your kind of frame this like, well, she's being unbiased because she's kind of upset and taking the stance of the fact of defending the Haitian immigrants from being labeled as like with this racist negative stereotype. I don't think
Right.
there's anything wrong with a journalist who is defending any racial group, whether it's black or white, of being labeled with this like really gross negative racist stereotype.
Yeah, okay. I think, and look, it's a gut intuition. It's not necessarily based on anything, but yours is equally your gut intuition that the racist stereotype is harming people. Like, she hasn't presented any evidence that this racist stereotype has done any damage in the city.
It's
Well, I guess
okay.
she's saying the bomb threats are related. So
She's saying the bomb threats related, but throwing the bomb, like, because we don't know, because supposedly the bomb threats were coming from overseas or whatever.
right,
But
so they could
yeah,
not even be related
putting
to
that
the
aside,
stereotype.
you don't have to prove damage, and proving damage can be very difficult. For example, if Dana Bash was interviewing some like woke like asshole who's talking about how all white people are racist, right? And then Dana Bash theoretically or someone else was, defending white people. Like, I don't think you'd say, well, should the journalists be defending white people because we don't know if these negative, like, how do you prove these negative stereotypes against white people all being racist has like damaged, individual white people? I don't know. You can't really necessarily prove that, but obviously we shouldn't be cultivating those racist negative stereotypes.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But obviously you would take the harm into consideration with any stereotype, right?
Well, that's
Asians are
why the
bad drivers
stereotypes
is not
are,
necessarily as bad as all black people are
yeah, it's
criminals,
not
right? There's
as
like they're
bad,
not even on the
but
same level.
yes, it is not as bad, but obviously the stereotype of, or the concept of Haitians are running around kidnapping pets is supposed to elicit a fear response and we need to get the Haitians out of our state, out of our country. That's like the point of the stereotype of the claim.
Right. Okay.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator,
and
this
threats of
happened
violence.
after you and
But to
President
say,
Trump
no,
were
Dana,
on the
to
debate
say,
stage, said
Dana,
that cats and dogs
you
were
asked,
being
you
eaten.
asked a question,
And
Dana, and I'm going to
after
go ahead and answer it.
Okay,
What
after
we
that,
said,
they were
what we have said is,
Look at this. She completely
Mhm.
Is that enough evidence for you that one happened after the other? That the bomb threats, the claims that they made are the
No,
source
of course
of the bomb
not.
threats?
No, of course. Well, this is the problem, is that no, it doesn't. And
Yes, of
if
course
it's
not.
true, if it's true that these calls came from overseas, I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is true, then yeah, then it completely doesn't have anything to do with any of this shit. Well, I mean, it does, but it's not like some evil Republican, presumably in
Right.
Ohio, doing it, right? It's someone in Russia or China trying to cause problems. But yeah, no,
Yep.
but this is why I was saying the same thing about like when everyone was like, oh my God, Crooks was obviously radicalized by MSNBC to shoot Trump. And I'm like, was he? We don't really know a lot about him, what he stands for. And people jump to all these conclusions. So
Right.
Dana Basher is just jumping to the conclusion that, oh my God, evil white racist Republicans were the ones that were calling these bomb threats in Ohio. When that
And she's
doesn't seem to be
doing
the
it
case.
because it's easy. She's doing it because it's easy. It's a stereotype that the media has of Republicans
Yes.
being greedy racists. That's exactly what she's doing. She's doing it because it's simple. She can turn her brain off. Everything is black and white. Republicans say anything about immigration and it's instantly about race, and they're racists.
Well, this is the danger of these sort of simplistic correlation, things that people see. Like every time I open my door, a bird flies by. So me opening the door must cause the bird to fly by.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, that's
And it's
exactly
like,
right.
right. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, like there's a certain intuitive, easy 1+1 logic to it. Oh, Trump makes these statements about, eating pets. Next day, bomb threats, right? For someone doing a bomb threat, saying it's because they're eating pets, right? So you go 1+1, right? Oh, Crook shoots, you have these people shooting at Donald Trump. Oh, therefore they must be Democratic operatives or, deep state, or therefore they must be, brainwashed by, the left-wing media, 1+1. Like, I get it. These are the very easy, intuitive leaps to make, but very often that's not always the way reality works. So
We had 2 911 calls about the geese, and it's completely meaningless. But since
Right.
you said that one time,
Right,
and we got these
exactly.
bomb threats from Russia, it's obviously your fault. It's
Mhm.
like, the media is supposed to be a neutral arbiter. Even CNN, look, they call themselves the most trusted name in news. Give me a fucking break.
Well, especially because
Give me a
CNN's trying to
fucking
pivot
break.
back to being like, we're more moderate. So
Then
obviously there's a lot going
fire
on in this.
everyone. Then
Right.
fire everyone. Fire Dana Bash. Fire all of these fucking morons.
That's not
Bring
gonna
in
happen.
people. Yeah, look. Of course, because they're elitists. They have these cushy jobs, like turning their brains off all day and like gaslighting the public. It's fucking evil.
Is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting.
It's just, look, this interview is so good. Sitch, do you see this?
I do think his answer here, from a political perspective, if we turn off any sort of like, who cares about the morals here, this is a completely good way to frame it. Be like, you're actually disgusting because you're accusing me of this heinous thing, which has nothing to do with me. Fuck you. And then you get the news commentator all angry and defending their own reporting. That is a good tactic, I think.
Of course it is. Yes. Watch Dana Bash when he says Kamala Harris, because she does this like, oh my God. Like, look, it's like zoinks. What?
After that, they were
what we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now,
it's interesting. I didn't think about this till just this moment. I don't know if you saw, I watched earlier today. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched part of it because it was so like frustrating. Was Jank was on Pierce Morgan with Candace Owens and fucking
I saw
with
the
Eric
thumbnail,
Prince.
but I didn't.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus, this is like
Eric Prince, really? Oh,
yes.
wow.
I was like, God, this is such a cast of characters.
The Blackwater guy? Jeez.
The Blackwater guy, yeah. And Pierce was going after Jank in the beginning about, people attacking Donald Trump because of violent rhetoric, blah, 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 blah. And it's interesting because everything JD Vance is saying just now in this entire accusation is the exact same accusation against the left with the violence against Donald Trump. Like, you could take JD Vance's answer and just copy paste it and give it to a Democrat to say, well, it's okay for me to say Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, and that I'm not responsible because Donald Trump has said XYZ, and I'm not responsible if some crazy unhinged lunatic then goes and tries to shoot Donald Trump.
Yeah, of course.
So this is why I always say it, and that's why it's obnoxious, is that everything is sort of, you talk about like acceptable political rhetoric, everything is essentially acceptable until someone goes and actually commits the act of violence. Then everyone kind of Monday morning quarterbacks,
you shouldn't have said that. You did it. You're responsible.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They're in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time, but the fact is it is the law because President Biden and Vice President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy,
Dana,
because
you made a point.
So this is kind of interesting. Well, okay, it's weird. They both sort of fucked up here dramatically. Number one, I don't even know why Vance would bring this up. He's just wrong. This is a losing issue for him. This is a stupid. He should not even bring it up. Okay, it is wrong to call them illegal aliens when they're literally not illegal aliens. You might, as she even said, she gave a good answer. You might not like the law that allows them to be here, but they're not classified as illegal aliens, and it's completely incorrect for you to say that. Okay, but then she's kind of fucking up because I don't know why she's trying to pivot away from this, because as opposed to just beating him over the head with it and say, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So
Right.
You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what
which
I
is
want to
why
talk
you're talking
about,
about
what I
other
want to talk
distractions
about,
instead of.
That's good, huh?
that's funny because that was a good retort when he was 100% in the wrong there. So that's pretty funny. Okay. I mean,
Yeah, he
that's a
gets her
retort.
good.
Yeah.
About the fact
Senator,
that
it was
Kamala Harris,
your
Dana,
distraction.
granted
You
amnesty
were the
at
one
a
who
mass
started
level.
talking
She
about
granted
eating
amnesty
dogs
at a
and
mass
cats.
level.
You were the one who
Dana,
brought this
my
up. The
constituents
president
were the
said it
ones
to
who talked about
60
eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about
Have
it.
you
And
been
it is
to
my
Springfield?
responsibility to surface their concerns when the American media
Have you been to
ignores it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've taken my
recently,
children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've gotten these calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
no,
I'm
I
talking
haven't been in
about
the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people in
calls from the
Springfield, Dana,
constituents.
and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions? And
Now that's a good answer. He handled that exactly appropriately because she's trying to hit him with the gotcha. Have you even you don't care about, like, because the implication is you don't care about the people of Springfield.
Of course,
right?
yeah. Look, she's going after him.
You haven't even been there.
You
And
don't
so
care about these people.
Right. And so the way he framed that is like, well, first of all, I've been there hundreds of times, and he throws off some ice cream
Yeah.
color or something.
I've eaten ice cream at
Right.
Young's Dairy, bitch.
Right. Yeah. Which is like, okay, that's smart. But then when she's like, well, have you been there since the calls come in? And he was smart because he immediately reframed it from the calls coming into it's only been 4 days. He's like, no, obviously I haven't been there in like the last 4 days. I'm fucking running, for president with Donald Trump. Like, go fuck yourself. So that was pretty smart.
Look, he's so quick on his feet. Yeah.
That was a very quick, that was a quick turnaround.
Well,
give
we
him
need
points
a
for that.
president who's quick on his feet.
Wow.
You think that's
true,
important to
but
being a
not-
president?
Not a Vance president though.
Oh, okay.
and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes.
Really? That's good. That's good.
Isn't this great? He
That's a good
throws, he's
response,
like,
yeah.
look, you did that fucking shit interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz,
Right.
where
right.
you basically fed them the answers here, and you won't even let me answer the goddamn question. It's great.
That's good. That's a good response. Yeah.
She gets a lot. What's so sad about this interaction is she gets the last laugh
Of
because
course.
she ended up reframing this whole conversation as he created the story out of whole cloth, and CNN is probably talking about it every 5 minutes on
Well,
the
this
network.
is always the issue with talking to the press, is that you could have 100 back and forth and you win 99 of them, and you lose one, and they're the ones controlling how the story is broadcast. So they're going to put the one out there,
Yep.
front and foremost. It's kind of like with what's her face when she smeared Jordan Peterson with the enforced monogamy line.
Oh yeah.
After,
Nelly Balls.
talking to him for like 48 hours or something.
Yeah.
I am, and I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims.
Look, she's gonna go back at
I know she's gonna. It's funny because it's interesting. People were talking about how like Kamala was so easily getting Donald Trump to like defend himself by bringing up the crowd sizes, and he's kind of now he's in the Kamala situation. He kind of got her to defend herself on her shitty interviews with her shitty interview with Tim Walz and Kamala Harris.
Look, Dana, why would they be bringing up media lies when you're the one feeding them the multiple choice answers? Then you would be feeding them the lies.
Right. Right.
that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for
You
other.
should have jumped in there and been like, would you fact check Kamala Harris if she said Donald Trump said it would be a bloodbath if he lost the election?
Yeah, that would have been good.
Jump in
Oh, yeah.
there like that. Been. Don't let her skate on this, because she's gonna be, because people gonna do this and she's doing this. She's gonna skate by saying like, well, I would have fact checked Kamala Harris if she made the very specific exact claim
Claim that
you
you're
made, which is
making,
like, well,
yeah.
obviously that's not gonna be a scenario that's likely to happen. So
Right.
I'm trying to remember because we watched the interview. But
Yeah, I don't
all the
remember she
questions.
made a bunch of bogus claims.
I don't.
Probably so.
Well, yeah, but I don't think she made any, because, they asked her the question about Donald Trump said you're
she
not black,
passed. Yeah.
and Kamala passed on it. So I don't remember if she said anything about Trump in the debate. I mean, in the
Charlottesville's a
interview.
big one. Bloodbath is a big one.
Right. I don't think she
The
brought those
drinking
up in the interview.
bleach.
That one's true. Well, it's half true. He didn't tell people to go drink bleach. That's the
Right.
untrue part of it. So
They're Republicans, but this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And that's a totally legitimate conversation. But there are other conversations that are happening. Aiden Clark, who is
So she used integration instead of assimilation. Integration's much different, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, you think that was intentional, or she just?
I think assimilation is a dirty word on the left.
It could be. It could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump. They have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Jesus Christ. Oh my
Talking
God.
about a hostile interview.
Yeah.
I guess Kamala was, when she went into the far leftist echo chamber, I guess that was probably the most hostile interview she will actually get.
Yeah, surprisingly. But
Yeah.
I mean, but talk about dropping like a tactical interview nuke on someone. Jeez.
Yeah. How do you think he
You
responds?
talked about this dead child, and here's their parents telling you to shut the fuck up and keep their name out of your mouth. I was like, oh my God. That's rough.
But look, Vance is a champ. He eats this kind of stuff for lunch.
We'll see.
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done to Springfield, Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents, and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
So what's happened is, and this is kind of interesting. So he answered the question, like she dropped the tactical nuke on his lap about, the dead child. He answered it pretty effectively by kind of saying, I will respect their wishes, and then kind of changes the topic somewhat to like, well, I'm still going to talk about these other issues. And then so now her response is to, because she didn't get the get that she wanted. So now she's like, well, will you fucking admit that you lied about the pets thing, right? So I don't know, because on one hand, it like that's obviously the purpose of it, but on the other hand, I do think it's completely fair on both the left and the right to, when politicians say things that are unfair, to grab it and say, I'm not going to let you go until you acknowledge that you said something that was not true, right? So
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this. But... So let's see what he says.
Dana, the evidence is the first-hand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
but it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then
there it was. That was the line.
All he had to do was say highlight stories. All he had to do was say bring attention to stories. If I have to bring attention to stories, yeah, he just fucked it up. Yeah, look,
Just
one
fucked it
mistake,
all up.
one little slip on a banana peel, and the next thing
Yeah.
you know,
that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
Look at Dana. She knows. Look, she's got the squinty eyes.
She noticed?
She knows.
saw,
She's
yeah.
got him. She's like, oh, yeah, this fucker. I've got him now. I loved my interview with Kamala Harris. How dare you sully it?
You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating a story.
Public policy.
He knows. He knows. He knows he fucked up. I bet, look, he was like, oh, shit, I shouldn't have said created. Oh, fuck, but I'll just keep going. Just keep going. Keep a straight face. Don't lose your cool. But now he's like, oh, shit, she saw it.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys? Even if it's just 12,
well, okay, before we get to the Proud Boys thing, okay, so how do you feel about this situation where it's like, so he said something, he totally fucked it up, and then he's like, well, I meant was something more acceptable, right?
Yeah.
So how do you handle
You
this
think he's being
situation?
dishonest? I don't know. What's your...
I don't think he's being dishonest, because obviously it would be retarded to say that you created the story, right? So I assume it was a slip of the tongue.
Right.
But if you believe that he's being like, that's sort of the problem you get into all this reporting on both the left and the right, is that someone on the left or the right says something that's like, it's the same thing with like Donald Trump with Project 2025 thing. All the left just assumes that, oh, he's just lying, so they're just going to report on it indefinitely. You know, I'm sure you could find some instance of, Kamala Harris saying, oh, she's not going to do X, Y, Z, or she's changed on fracking or gun control or whatever. And the people say, no, 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 I think she's lying, right? And so you kind of get in this, rope of like, well, how exactly do you kind of deal with the situation? On this one, I would say on this one specifically, I think it's pretty clear to me that it was a misspeak. So I do think it'd be unfair to keep hitting him over the head with the you said creating thing. That'd be
Right.
my take on it.
Yeah, look, in the media, they're never going to treat JD Vance unfairly, obviously. So they're going to
Right. You mean
immediately drop
fairly?
this.
They're never going to treat him
I meant,
fairly.
no, I meant they're not going to treat him unfairly. They're going to drop the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, I think it's a misstep, but obviously, I mean, this is the evidence everybody wants. They want to prove that the other side is lying and liars and totally dishonest. And this is a little piece of evidence for them to cling to. So obviously they're not going to let it go, even though it is completely unfair.
Well, I guess
they're going to continue to hammer home. They're going to say, look, he's completely dishonest. He knows he created the story. He knows the story is untrue. He's just saying the story is true so that he can create these negative stereotypes about black people, which he hates. Like, that's the way the media is going to run with it.
Well, here's the only, I guess the question is like, okay, I guess if he had said very clearly, no, he's never going to say this. No politician is ever going to say this. And maybe this is kind of the difficulty of it. But if he said very clearly, oh, we were wrong about the pet thing, we shouldn't have said that, and then made this comment, then I would kind of view it like, well, he's 100% in the right. He made a mistake. He owned up to making the mistake. And the media is just being like shitheads about it. But you kind of had this weird situation where he hasn't really owned up to making the mistake at all. He's trying to pivot away from it, which is what you'd expect every politician to do. They're never going to own up to the mistake, because in America, unfortunately, we penalize people for owning up to the mistakes. We don't give them credit for it. And so it's like, since he's pivoting away from owning up to the mistake, that justifies probably in a lot of these people's minds the like giving them the go ahead to kind of jump down his throat on the creating comment.
I'm not sure. Why would you own is it a mistake when we don't have all the evidence yet?
If you make a claim, if you make a claim that forwards negative racist stereotypes about a group of people, that turns out to be completely baseless. What do you mean?
Well, first of all, it's not baseless. Like I said, the base is that constituent reporting. There actually were 911 calls about the geese.
Yeah, but that wasn't it was they're eating the dogs and cats. They're eating, taking people's pets. That's a different claim than saying they're eating geese in the park.
It is a different claim, but they're related. So that is the base of the pets claim. The pets claim has not been proven yet, but I don't know if they're still investigating this. And he's saying, I'm taking the claims of my constituents seriously. You can't really say, oh, my constituents are liars and pieces of shit. Like, he's supposed to represent those people.
We rightfully gave Kamala Harris all sorts of shit for supporting the bail fund that was involved with some BLM protest / riot in the George Floyd situation, right?
Right.
And we correctly, I don't know if Kamala Harris was involved in this, but we correctly shit all over politicians and journalists who jumped down the Covington kids' throat, when they didn't get all the facts straight, right? And the same thing with Kyle Rittenhouse, when they get the facts about that completely wrong and very dishonest about the whole thing.
All those are very different situations, though, because the facts have all been tallied in all of those situations. Right, we're in the middle of fact tallying on this one.
It doesn't, I agree with that aspect, but just because you don't know, you don't get to say, well, I don't know, if Donald Trump, raped his cousin and we're looking into it, so I get to make the claim that he did until it's proved otherwise.
That's a much more incendiary claim. Look, and I guess a lot of this is just how how you judge the nature of the claim that Haitian migrants have eaten someone's cat. Like, if you think that that's like a horrendous claim that the Haitian community will never be able to get over, then obviously it's a much bigger deal than if it's just like a mistake that's going to be forgot about in 6 months.
Well, I think it will be forgot about because number one, it doesn't seem to be even remotely true. And then number two, it got memed to all hell because it was so goofy the way Trump said it.
Right. Look, you said you could reverse this this claim that she's making that Vance caused all of this strife over making this declaration onto Trump, or on the Democrats could say, you know, we can say whatever we want about Trump, but you got to take the level of threat into consideration, right? That's paramount. Calling Trump Hitler 24/7 is much different than like one news cycle devoted towards Haitian migrants eating cats and dogs.
I understand that, but just as like they're eating cats and dogs gets conflated with the geese thing, the Trump Hitler thing gets conflated with everything. A lot of the news stations didn't say Donald Trump is literally Hitler. They would say something like Donald Trump tried to overthrow the election last time. He might try to do it again. He's a threat to democracy. Okay. And that's fucking, first of all, he did try to overthrow the election January 6th. And I don't blame anyone. I don't think he will, but I don't blame anyone for thinking that if he were to win the presidency, that some crazy shit would happen. I don't blame anyone for thinking that, even if I disagree with that. Look, so this is the difficulty when you're having this conversation about like, oh my God, you know, you guys, everyone has to play nice with Donald Trump with the kid gloves because a bunch of crazy people are out there. It's like, yeah, there are crazy people on the left that are definitely hyping up things way too much hyperbolically with the sort of rhetoric, but then why that doesn't mean that you don't get to actually call out the crazy shit that Donald Trump does and says on a regular basis.
You totally can, but I mean, if Fox News went on a 4-year sustained campaign to sully the reputation of Haitian migrants by saying that they were eating cats and dogs every 5 minutes, I'd say, look, we've got some sort of equivalence here.
Nope. Wait, first of all, Fox News has gone on a 4-year campaign to destroy the reputation of basically everyone who's a Democrat. So that already happened. And so this is why I've always said the problem with this entire conversation is everyone's fine with it until someone does something violent. So like if
you still would measure the claim, you'd still measure
no. If Donald Trump says
of the claim,
no, if Donald Trump says they're eating the pets, you know, blah, 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 which he said at the debate. And then literally the next day at a rally, he says they're eating their pets and they're raping fucking the poor American women. The illegal immigrants are coming to rape your fucking women, right? He says that at a fucking...
You're literally making my case.
Wait, stop. Let me finish my point, okay? If Trump says that statement, and then the next day someone goes out and they commit a mass shooting on a bunch of Haitian immigrants, and it's like, oh, well, Donald Trump said this. It's like, oh, well, then I guess he is like... Then suddenly he's responsible for it because someone actually went and did something like violent about it. But if no one does anything violent about it, then everyone shrugs and says, well, he's just saying crazy shit.
Right. But you are saying, like, obviously you understand the lethality of the claim of the eating cats and dogs and the raping our women are completely, like, they're in different categories.
Well, that is
hugely different categories.
That is true. Yes, that is definitely true. Yeah.
So everyone is going to judge the lethality of the claim and say, oh, well, you know, they're basically going to do this calculation in their mind on how crazy a person has to be. Like, and the more lethal the claim gets, the less crazy they have to be. They're literally talking about, well, if Trump is Hitler, then taking him out before the election is the logical thing to do, right? You don't have to be crazy. That's the pertinent course of action.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even you still get in the problem that even if we remove the rape accusation and it's just literally Trump saying they're eating the pets, if some crazy person hears that, goes and kills a bunch of Haitian immigrants, and then you're like, okay, well, and then also turns out the eating the pets thing is a complete lie. It's like on one hand, you're like, yes, obviously he's a crazy person and Donald Trump is not responsible for it. On the other hand, you're like, well, he shouldn't have been so irresponsible to throw out a bunch of claims that he didn't fucking know were true and he just declared them to be true when he's running for president.
Sure, everyone is going to measure the claims. They're going to measure the detail of each claim and do this calculus in their head. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration.
I do
and
agree
both
that
sides,
yes, I agree.
both sides are going to, they're going to pitch their claims, no matter how incendiary they are, as innocuous, right? And the other side is going to say, no, this is terrible. You guys are inciting violence. I mean, that's just the normal state of affairs. So that is the difference that I see between these two sides in the, oh my God, you said Haitian immigrants are eating cats and dogs, and a sustained campaign.
No,
and
yes,
look, I give you,
right.
I give you January 6th. Like
Right.
Donald Trump didn't do himself any favors because he played into all of the lies that were created around Charlottesville. So
no, and obviously I agree. There's a difference between Donald Trump saying, they're eating the pets or whatever, and someone saying, he's literally Hitler, and if he wins, that's in a democracy. Obviously, there's a difference in scale here. I'm just saying that generally there's this problem, which is that people are basically saying a bunch of incendiary shit to different degrees, and everyone just shrugs and says it's fine, I guess, until some crazy person picks up a gun and does something about it.
right, yeah. I just think the degrees are super important.
They are
obviously.
important. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to measure the degree. But anyway, let's see.
Bush is one marching in Springfield.
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. Can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marches. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling it a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians
That's not what
who
I
are
suggested.
having their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies. Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was quoting the.
So, okay, so let's kind of break down the response here. So the first part about the Proud Boys, I think that's a great response. He's like, they suck. I don't support them. Obviously, I'm married to a non-white person. They're like 12 inconsequential retards. We have some real issue to talk about.
Yeah, great response.
Okay. That's a good response. Second response, it is a good response from a political perspective, from a sort of, if I'm to put on my dishonest political brain hutch hat, where I say, yeah, this is politics and this is war, then obviously, yeah, this is a good way to get to attack Dana Bash, who definitely is in a very hostile interview with JD Vance, and to kind of do this maneuver like, oh my God, you're saying that I can't even talk about this issue, about the immigration problem because of the bomb threat, blah, 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 blah. That's a very good way to phrase it. Now, it's dishonest because that's not really the claim. The claim is that the specific hyperbolic claims about eating the pets and other things are sort of what draws the negative attention, not having a reasonable conversation about, immigration problems in Springfield, Ohio. But putting morality aside, it is an effective way to sort of handle the interview.
Yeah, I wish more people would be sensitive about negative stereotypes, but it's just people don't really consider that much. So
right.
The actual mayor of Springfield, Ohio, begging after he said after the bomb threats, begging federal officials, to please stop putting negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to talk to you about.
Dana,
go ahead.
Again,
please go ahead.
I think this is.
Well, okay, so let's judge her now. Her response, if this is true, I don't know the exact truth claim of this. I'm trying to look into it now. If the mayor of this town is literally begging Donald Trump and JD Vance to not talk about this, that's a pretty devastating counter retort. Is it
well, unless he's a Democrat, then
no, he's Republican.
Oh, he is a Republican. Okay, well that's.
I believe. Well, actually, wait, let me check.
Yeah,
I thought he was.
I was trying to look up because it's just.
Or no, the governor of Ohio is Republican. I don't know about
Springfield, Ohio mayor.
Yeah, he's Republican.
He is a Republican.
According to the old wiki, he's Republican. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That definitely says more than he's just making political hay out of it to go after Republicans.
Right. I'm trying to find this quote that she's referring to about begging them, because I'd be curious if she said them by name. If he said them by name, he probably just said like,
right.
What was a clip? Maybe we'll watch it afterwards.
He's like, these are my voters.
Right.
God damn it.
Is actually, I think this is an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things. I certainly sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses J.D. Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth,
you have somebody
even
whose
if you
name...
misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard is why the people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay, if you have somebody you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat, of course we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after these bomb threats, federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay? That I'm quoting him, and it seems to be a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's no evidence of this. I condemn violence and threats of violence. We should be able to do that and also still talk about what's going on in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear that you condemn it. That is very important. We had a lot of other issues to get to, but I really hope that you do come back so we can talk about other issues. Senator, thank you so much.
Wowzers.
Thanks, Dana.
Now is...
Okay, so she said the line. So yeah, so it's interesting because number one, she definitely was 100% saying or implying that JD Vance and Donald Trump were responsible for the bomb threat.
Yeah, she did the Twitter thing. Like
100%.
Some other guy said this.
Yeah. Right.
Look, I'm not making the accusation. This other person made the accusation.
Right. So it's like total. Well, no, she tried to conflate it with the whole mayor thing. Because when she brought up the mayor point, which is true, and that's actually pretty devastating to Vance, from a political strategic perspective, did the right thing, which is to pivot away from that and to say, you accused me of, causing a bomb threat, you bitch. And then so she kind of conflated the two issues together, which is not really what either of them was talking about. But so, yeah, I don't think it's right for her to throw the bomb threat thing, especially now that we know that, well, the accusation is that they came from overseas. So it seems like it has nothing to do with, evil white racist Republicans or whatever the way that she'd want to frame it. So that's totally fair to shit all over her for that. But I would say, I think his last answer was actually kind of bad because like this notion of, oh my God, the election's, coming up in a month and we're not talking about policies. We're talking about this goofy shit. It's like, okay, but we're talking about this goofy shit because Donald Trump said this goofy shit, right? He's the one that kind of caused the entire news story in the first place. So I think it's kind of ridiculous for him to then turn around and bitch at the media for that.
Brilliant. 10D chess, Donald Trump.
There you go.
What has Scott Adams had to say about this?
I don't remember what he said about the eating the pets thing. It's funny, even he said he thought the eating the pets thing was probably not true at all when he first heard it. So
Yeah, but he did say it was brilliant. I saw him say it on Twitter.
yeah, he probably
He's
said,
like, "Oh my God, Donald Trump won the debate with this eat the pets thing."
well, it depends if. Now, I don't want to necessarily dismiss that take, because if the takeaway from the debate, all anyone remembers from the debate is funny meme videos and songs of Donald Trump saying they're eating the pets and people laughing and associating that positive emotion with Donald Trump, then maybe he did win the debate on that. I don't know. I don't know if that's ever something. I don't know if that's something we can test, but
I know, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
it is. It is. So
I'm the same way. I don't. That take could be correct.
mm-hmm.
There's just really no way to measure it, but it is. You can't really say that because everyone's like, "What?"
Well, we don't.
Bullshit.
There's no way to measure that, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
And
but,
people intuitively are revolted by the claim.
well, people that saw the debate correctly said Donald Trump did not win the debate because he didn't. But
Right.
if we're talking about like what is the lasting effect of the debate, weeks,
Persuasion
months
wise,
away,
yeah.
I can't judge that.
All anyone's going to remember is those great "Eat the Cat" songs.
It is in a week, 2 weeks from now. That's all anyone. You're right. That's all anyone's going to remember from the debate completely. And that's why I think quote Hutch's quote analysis was retarded. Is that this idea that, well, all they're talking about is Donald Trump, so that means Kamala Harris won? Is like, okay, that's a very foolish way to look at this of the news cycle.
Look at you starting drama, already calling Hutch retarded.
Well,
How
he has
great.
stupid take. What am I supposed to say? Okay, he had a retard take.
Yeah, no, it's
So,
great. I love it. Start more drama.
there it is.
It's good for the channel.
Okay.
So should we? I don't know if I have someone lined up to come on. Let's
Okay.
see
It was kind of
here.
last minute, so
No, Ostracy's.
about it.
I could send Ostracy the link. Ostracy's been on before, and he's pretty smart. So
sure, if he wants to come on.
yeah, sure. I'll send him the link. Look, he can jump in. We'll read super chats. If he jumps in, we'll chat with him for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. Let's talk about prepping for $2. Says Adam lighting, shakes head. Look at that. Instead of gaslighting, it's Adam lighting. I like that.
Nice. It's my own term now.
Right.
The iron law of atom lighting.
Instant Sacks for 10 months says monthly milestone as someone whose entire job is programming walkie-talkies and pagers. I've been having a very interesting week. Oh, I bet you have. I bet you have.
Oh, are they? People are coming to you going, "Oh, it's going
Right.
to blow my dick off."
There you go. I bet they're like crazy about it. So Spencer Harmon for $10 says the only thing stupider than offending someone is being offended. It depends. I don't actually agree with that on a universal stance. If someone is trying to offend you and then you get offended, then sure. If someone is just promoting very racist ideas in the world, like saying we live in a white supremacist society, and you just sit around and you take it because you don't want to be offended and you don't want to fight back against it, and so you end up living in a society where this fiction about living in a white supremacist society is just allowed to pass, then no, that's very stupid to just allow those offensive stereotypes to pass.
Look, I think part of the reason why I'm just not really that wound up about this is, look, I understand the stereotype that black people are criminals. Like, that's a terrible stereotype, right? And tangibly affects a lot of black people's lives. But the eating the pets thing is just, it's so ridiculous and it's so like out of nowhere that it's hard for me to imagine this stereotype catching hold and just becoming like a thing. That like people are hiding their pets when they see a Haitian.
Right. So Okay, let me be like 10,000% clear because I don't think you understand this, and maybe I have not articulated myself clearly.
Okay.
I am not even remotely 100%, 1 ounce of me personally offended by Donald Trump saying that they're eating the pets. Okay.
Right.
At all. I don't care. I thought it
Okay.
was weird and funny at the debate. If you go back and watch our debate coverage, I said I thought it was weird and funny at the time. What offended me, what angers me still, is yesterday I feel like you're like getting so triggered about Kamala Harris leaning on this identity politics shit, and you're just like completely blind to Donald Trump doing the same thing throughout his entire candidacy,
Mhm.
including the eating on his pets things, which is the most recent form of it. That's what's offending me or bothering me, not the actual claim itself.
Okay. I d- the So you think Donald Trump is disparaging Haitian migrants to sully the dignity of the Haitian community?
No, Donald Trump is 100% using identity politics to try to get people to come out and vote for him by raising up fears about illegal immigration
Right.
and immigration in general, which I assume you agree with. I mean, that's pretty undeniable. That's what his campaign strategy has been from day one.
But that's not identity politics.
Of
Not
course it is. What do you mean? How is it not identity
How
politics?
is that identity politics?
He's literally saying your identity as an American is being threatened by these non-Americans coming into your country with their rapists and their drugs and their germs and their pet eating, and they're going to destroy your way of life. How is it not identity politics?
Well, look, identity politics is like the politics of dignity. These actions are threatening your dignity. When Donald Trump is talking about this, he's saying these actions are threatening your safety, not your dignity. It's like completely different.
If you say a horde of black people are coming to rape your women and kill you,
Yes,
that's
they're
threatening your
threatening your safety.
yes,
Yes,
but
not your dignity.
that's still identity politics.
No, identity politics is like when Kamala Harris comes out and she talks about Donald Trump is trying to create racist stereotypes of black people by doing this thing, and that sullies the dignity of all black people. That's identity politics.
Maybe
Yes.
this is the issue here. This is why I do not like your definition of identity politics being about dignity so specifically. Because if Kamala Harris comes out and says Donald Trump is Orange Hitler, who supports the Proud Boys, and he's a white supremacist, and he's going to try to destroy the country for black people. Like, yeah, on a level, that is threatening the dignity of black people who live in the country, but it is more directly threat to their safety. That is like when Kamala Harris or anyone makes these comments about Donald Trump, saying that there's fine people on both sides, they're they're trying to elicit that if you are not white, you are literally not safe in this country. They're doing the same thing. They're trying to push the you're not safe in America, but
Right.
through a racial or identity based lens. It's not just
Right.
about dignity. It is about safety.
Okay. It's a fine line between the danger versus the disrespect.
Okay.
Actually, I don't really think it is a fine line. I think obviously if Kamala Harris is making the claim that Donald Trump is going to round up black people and throw them incarcerate them, then I'd say yes, she's definitely saying Donald Trump is a threat to their safety. But I don't think she's really doing that. I think she's pointing to things like, Donald Trump said that I wasn't black, and that was an insult to anyone's dignity that identifies as black, which I would say, yes, that is identity politics.
That is a question of dignity in that specific example. But obviously when we hear, the people talk about we're going to lose our democracy, talk about Orange Hitler and all these other things, right? That's a safety issue.
Right. And the
And so
safety transcends all of the groups, right? If Haitian migrants are terrorizing a certain community, that's going to threaten white people, black people, Mexican people, like everyone in the community is going to be threatened by that. It's not unifying people
okay.
into a group. That it is the thing about identity politics is it's like when one person in that group is disrespected, it disrespects all of the people as a class of people. That's what identity politics is.
If you say white people are all inherently racist and that's why we need to purge them from our community through violence, that is both an identity politics and a safety issue. That's why I don't agree with
It
this
is, but you're specifically
you're
saying
detaching it. If you say that there's a horde of immigrants from a different country or a different ethnic group than your own that are coming to rape your women, that's an identity politics thing. You're literally saying there's people that are coming here from a different identity from you that you need to be afraid of because they don't share your identity. That is a form of identity politics.
yes, but they're not unifying the people that are being preyed upon by this group into an identity class that their dignity is threatened.
Well, yeah, they're not.
They're raping. They're
not
raping black people. They're raping white people. They're raping Mexican people.
Okay, they're not threatening the quote dignity of someone who's American, but they would threaten the quote dignity of someone who is American who maybe looks like one of these immigrants that is either from one of these countries that could be easily mistaken. Because then it's like, well, if a bunch of immigrants are coming here to rape your women, how do I know that you're not one of them? If you're also from that country, you're also from that culture.
Yes, look, the left, and I think this is the disagreement, I guess, because from the Kamala Harris attack, it is identity politics because she's saying, look, them talking about Haitian migrants eating the pets is a racist dog whistle, and that threatens the dignity of all black Americans. That's the argument that they're making. When the argument the right is making is, well, the Haitian immigrants are a threat to all groups, black, white, Mexican, Latino, whatever, right? Asian, they're all being threatened. I don't know the particular demographics of Springfield, Ohio.
First of all, you are insulting the dignity of every Haitian immigrant in Springfield, Ohio. Okay.
But you buy the identity politics argument that Kamala Harris is making.
I don't buy it. What do you mean? It's obviously an identity politics argument. I don't support that either.
Okay. Right. Well, they would just argue that how are we going to talk about this? Like they would do exactly what JD Vance is saying. He's like, look, I'm not trying to assault the dignity of Haitian migrants. I'm just saying this is a problem. And how am I supposed to talk about it if I can't say this particular group is the one that's preying on the community?
It's very simple. Okay, number one, don't say a bunch of things that are not fucking true or you don't know whether they're true.
Let's just say they are 1,000% true. Okay. Mm-hmm. How do we have that conversation
then you can't talk about
without it being accused of being identity politics?
Very simply, you say, there's this massive uptick of violence in a region that is being perpetrated some small group of people as part of this community, and we need to obviously increase policing or do something or vet people or deport the people that are doing this violence. Okay.
But that right there, that argument is not identity politics.
Yeah, I know.
The counter argument against that argument is identity politics, and this is why people don't like identity politics.
Stop. What I said was not identity politics because, number one, I was saying something that, according to your hypothetical, was true. And then number two, I'm saying something specific. Donald Trump is intentionally, or he's just a fucking retard, which is possible. He doesn't say that. He just says, they are doing something. The illegal immigrants are coming and they're raping your women. Okay. They're savage murdering criminals. When you speak in these broad terms, you're casting a very wide net.
But that's the issue. This is specifically why when you were saying, you've got to be mindful that Donald Trump is also engaging in identity politics. This is why it's unclear, because why would he want to disparage the let me finish. Let me finish now. Okay. Why would Trump want to disparage the identity of Black American voters, which he is literally trying to court in the next election? So why would he be playing identity politics like that? That was my counter question to you.
And what was my answer to that question?
You answer it now. I don't remember.
I said he wasn't doing that. He wasn't saying black people are doing this. He was saying illegal immigrant aliens are doing that, and they don't get to fucking
he's
vote.
not playing identity politics.
Yes, okay, he literally is. Listen, I don't give a okay. We can never have this conversation again because this is Sitch's law retardation. I don't give a fuck about this term about identity politics or whatever because we have different definitions of it. What he's doing is he's casting very negative stereotypes about a fucking group of people. Whether you want to say that's identity politics or not, to me is like absurd. So I don't even understand how we're going to make this distinction, but I don't actually care. Okay. We can just say that he's casting incredibly offensive, negative stereotypes about a group of people, and he shouldn't be fucking doing it, whether we call it identity politics or not.
But look, then you were just buying the Democratic argument, the identity politics argument of the Democrats.
How so?
Because you're saying that you can't have a conversation about this without disparaging the identity of American black voters.
I didn't. I literally don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say that. I keep not saying that.
Let me
keep
just
saying I'm saying that. Okay. I don't understand what the
disconnect
disconnect
is. Let's
is.
just make it completely clear then. Okay. So when Donald Trump says they're eating Haitian immigrants are eating
when Donald
the
Trump
dogs
says
and cats.
Young American girls are being raped and sodomized and murdered by savage criminal aliens. Okay, referring to, I'm going to be very specific. This is a specific quote. We can even bring up the video. Okay, because maybe that's part of the disconnect here is that you don't actually know what I'm talking about, the line that I'm talking about.
If you want to use a more incendiary claim,
no, I want to use, yes, I want to use.
Go ahead.
Because this is a claim that I saw where I'm like, well, this is really fucked up. When Donald Trump specifically referring to the Haitians says that there are young American girls being raped and sodomized and murdered by savage criminal aliens. Okay, broadly, all right, then yeah, that's cultivating very negative stereotypes about an entire group of people. And I don't think you can say, well, that's just playing the Democrat narrative. No, he's fucking doing it. He's creating the entire narrative himself. He's jumping headfirst into the fucking racism bush that the Democrats want to label him with.
Right. But they want to make the broader claim. And this is where it becomes the definition of identity politics. They want to say that broader claim about the Haitian immigrants threatens the dignity of American blacks.
And I've never said that, and I don't care about that argument.
Okay, but that's the argument Kamala Harris is making.
I don't care about that argument. All I'm saying,
look,
I don't even know why you're bringing it up. I don't give a fuck.
Because it's identity politics.
Whatever.
Because it's literally identity politics.
Okay. The only point I was making, which you disagree with, because you have a vastly different definition of identity politics than I do, which we've talked about ad nauseum in the past and in this conversation, is that all I'm saying, and you don't have to agree with it, is that just making the statement saying that the 20,000 illegals are coming into your community to rape and sodomize and murder your women is an identity politics. Okay, he's playing on the American identity versus the evil Haitian non-Americans, right? That's the identity politics angle.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Does he? I mean, yeah, like if he's talking, yeah, okay. We can move on. Look, I'm feeling bad. You're so angry about this.
C.S. Paffy for $5 says, can I argue about anything? Is Adam gay? Let's debate. There you go.
Look, obviously, everyone knows I'm gay. Please stop making fun of me. What is the gay slogan? Like, it gets better. That's it. Look, it gets better, guys.
Dialogue always for $2 says, darn, if I wasn't working, I would have argued. There you go. But
oh, really?
I always would have come in.
Wow, that sucks because he's great to argue with. He'd completely come in and take your side.
What identity? Okay. What identity is a legal immigrant? Okay. If you're a Haitian immigrant and you're in the country legally and Donald Trump or anyone is promoting negative stereotypes that Haitian immigrants are coming to your country to rape your women, are you confused as to what the problem is with cultivating that negative stereotype for all Haitian immigrants in this country? That's pretty straightforward, right? Right, chat? Person that asked that in chat? Okay. Anyway.
You're always going to have this disparity because people are not going to want to. First of all, people have a terrible time acknowledging the racist stereotypes to begin with.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
But it's annoying because there are significant problems with immigration in this country. There's significant problems with criminality in this country. And these things do need to be talked about and discussed without the left throwing their hair on fire saying, oh my God, if you talk about crime, if you talk about immigration, you're a racist, right? Which
Right.
they want to do. They want to do it because they don't want to talk about these issues. But the
But they're
way
making
to
a
make that
specific argument. But go
right
ahead.
by making a specific argument about a specific problem. But the way to not do that is to literally play directly into their hands by just being a racist piece of shit or making these incredibly overgeneralized statements where you say all the immigrants are rapists. These immigrants are all coming to the country to rape you, right? And that's what Donald Trump is doing in that speech when he makes these comments. And so he's
Right.
playing directly into their hands. He's teeing them up to be like, oh, I guess we don't have to talk about this issue. And now if you actually do talk about immigration, you get lumped in with Donald Trump's dumb fuck ass and you get called a racist. Okay.
Right.
Simon Verco for 3 months says, I don't know if it was Mac Daddy J, but try to. Oh, but thank you to my free will sponsor for this month. A-Team reigns supreme.
Oh, wait a second. I guess maybe I sent the link to the wrong person here.
Lol.
Oh shit! Who did I send the link
A
to?
random person's gonna jump in.
Oh shit!
Spencer Harmon for $10 says, without religion, we don't have the foundation for our laws. I mean, that's probably true, but doesn't mean we have to keep it that way now. So, Lethal Strain for $10 says, let's say it did work, went back to the states because of competing slates of electors, and Trump was correct on the fraud. Would it be looked as a good thing then? Well, first of all, okay, when you say go back to, people keep saying go back to the states incorrectly. Like, you know, when people say that, they don't mean it literally goes back to the physical, like, state legislature. What that means is that the House of Representatives would essentially vote on to make Donald Trump the president. Okay.
Link is sent to Ostracy if you're still listening.
Right.
So we'll go ahead.
It means you would just vote Donald Trump to be president. That's what it means. Okay. And then at that point, if you say he was correct on the fraud, well, number one, he wasn't correct on the fraud. But number two, in a hypothetical situation, if he was correct on the fraud, would it have looked better? No, because at that point, the Democrats would never believe it. They'd say, oh, this is all just fake. This is all fake, right? The same way the Republicans say, oh, it's all fake that there wasn't fraud. Democrats would just say it is fake that there was fraud, and they would still try to throw these people in jail. So no, it wouldn't make it anything better. Mr. Middleton for $2 says, Democrats need to stop kink shaming Mr. Robinson. True. That's true. The Wooster for $5 says, everything the Robinson leak makes him seem base as fuck. Who thought this was going to hurt him? LMAO. I don't agree with you. I think it's going to sink his chances of winning. But I don't think the average normie voter is on board with all those things that you think are base, Wooster. But we'll see. Ryan Owl for $10 says, if we made horse-sized ducks, the Haitians would have had a harder time killing and eating them. If they did kill one, however, they would eat for days. True. Listen, that's an idea, right?
I wasn't paying attention, so I don't want to agree to anything that might make a negative stereotype of.
There you go. Negative stereotypes about. Listen, if we could get Haitian death squads to take out all the horse-sized ducks,
look,
right?
I'm trying to be very conscious. I don't want to ruin the dignity of the Haitian population. Right. Okay, I'm sure and I assume many of them are good people, right?
Right. RBJH fan for $5 says, dear Sitch, Trump is an awful candidate. Lucky for him, he just needs to be better than the state mouthpiece the Democrats anoint. Well, unfortunately, that seems to be the case for both candidates. So, through the wormhole,
just joined. I don't know if he can hear.
I can.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Do you have any comment on our
what do you want to argue with
dignity politics conversation?
I was arguing with you. No, actually, it was both of you. I don't think we'll have time for that argument, though. The first argument, it's all remain in Mexico border, and I think that would just be too much. But I was going to say, I'm kind of, in this argument you just had, I'm kind of more on Adam's side than your Sitch. And
Should I kick him, Sitch? Look, I'm on your side,
No,
Sitch.
do not kick Ashley.
How dare you? But I guess the one thing I wanted to say was, the quote you're saying Trump said, the whole like, they're criminals. Are you saying that he's, or what you're taking from that is that he thinks all Haitians that are here illegally are criminals?
He said, let me read you the full quote. Okay.
Sure.
He said, illegal Haitians. He said, wait, I'm angry about Venezuelan gangs taking over Aurora, Colorado, and illegal Haitians. And illegal Haitians came illegally, illegal Haitian migrants taking over a beautiful place. It was so beautiful, Springfield, Ohio. I was there. I campaigned there a while ago, Springfield. It was so beautiful. Now it's just, what a place. Can you imagine? Can you have this small little community? All of a sudden, you have 20,000 illegals in your community. Nobody knows where they came from. I'm angry about a young American girl being raped and sodomized and murdered by savage criminal aliens. Okay. So the implication is, so yes, he doesn't say 100% of those 20,000 people are coming to rape you, but that is there's a reason that he says it immediately after that. Okay. He's trying to say, when you let all these people in your country, they're going to come and they're going to rape and they're going to kill and they're going to sodomize the beautiful American young women.
So I think it's a little different, like, especially with that quote at the beginning about gangs. Trump consistently talks about how criminals come here. He's not implying or saying that everyone who comes here is amongst these criminals. So, and the verbiage even kind of matches, when he's talking about somebody being an illegal immigrant, he says they're an illegal. He doesn't say they're a criminal. So there are illegal immigrants, and then there are criminal illegal immigrants.
First of all, the 20,000 people in Ohio are not illegal anyway.
No, I get what you're saying, but the point I'm making is, I don't think he's stereotyping the Haitians as criminals. He is saying there are criminal Haitians who raped a girl, which would be true.
When you are talking about, oh my God, we had a beautiful community and now it's not beautiful because 20,000 illegals came here, and then you immediately, the literal next words out of your mouth are, I'm angry about young American girls being raped and sodomized by savage criminal aliens. Yeah, you can say, well, technically, he didn't say that every single one of those people is a savage criminal alien rapist. Okay, but we're not retards. We're not retards. We all understand what the point is of language in using those sentences in that order. It's to draw that picture, that association in the listener's mind and say, that's why you have to vote for me, because I'm going to protect you from the evil, savage criminal rapists. Like the ones in Springfield, Ohio.
But that doesn't mean he's saying all the Haitians are criminal rapists. It means he's saying some of them are. And I don't know the story, but if some of them are, then I guess some of them are. I don't know the story.
He's intentionally trying to draw negative stereotypes about illegal immigrants or even legal immigrants, specifically the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio.
I would say
with that statement,
it's not a stereotype. It's a flaw of having a lot of illegal immigrants come into your country is you don't know who they are. You don't know who the criminals are.
Even the fine people, even the not fine people, even some of them I assume are good people. He hedged more on that than he did in this statement. Okay.
Sure.
He didn't say, listen, no. This is a problem. And this is what Donald Trump always does. Okay. And I'm kind of like getting to the point. I'm getting to like the destiny point of sick of hearing like the very, very defensive like nature of this bullshit, because everyone knows he's doing it. Okay. Donald Trump doesn't talk and just say, hey, we had a bunch of people come to Springfield, Ohio, and I understand these people, most people want jobs and blah, 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 blah. And there's a horrible earthquake, but obviously this small town can't, handle this giant group of people, and this is wrong. And we can't just let the borders, open, because when you let the borders open, even though you have people who just want to come to the country and work and get jobs, and I don't think that's right for economically, you also have a lot of people who maybe want to come and commit crimes and rape people and blah, 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 blah. He never talks like that. Okay. Intentionally. He just says, the 20,000 people came in and I'm angry that people are getting raped and murdered. And then he leads you, the audience, to just interpret that however the fuck you want.
So I don't think he's trying to I agree that he is speaking negatively about immigrants, but I think he's doing it in two ways. He's saying, one, this town was taken over by, illegal, but I guess, whatever, asylum seekers, whatever technical status they are. And that caused a problem in the town, which it did. And then also, there are criminals there. And it's all packaged, yes, in the idea that illegal immigration or mass immigration is, particularly if you can't verify the people, is bad. I'm not trying to say that he's saying he's not doing this, but you're making the argument, at least what came to me, is that he was classifying them all as rapists. And I don't think he was doing that. I think he's classifying all illegal or mass immigration as bad and having negative impacts on communities. And amongst those things is criminality.
When you make that statement, okay, and you immediately go 20,000 legal immigrants, you have a beautiful city. Now it's not beautiful because 20,000 people are here. And the next, and comma, I'm angry that young girls are being raped and sodomized. The incredibly strong implication, okay, as strong as Dana Bash implying that JD Vance caused a bomb threat, the strong implication is that, oh, look, those 20,000 illegals, they're doing the raping, right? And that if you let these people in your country, they're all criminals. They're all doing the raping. That is the implication. That is how people interpret those words. Unless you're trying to parse it to create this sort of like defense for Donald Trump being hyper irresponsible with everything he says because he doesn't care because he's trying to run a campaign on fear.
If you want to say it's irresponsible, fine. But when you're talking about the identity politics issue, as I said, I don't think he's trying to do that. And it sounds like he's referring to a specific story. So I don't know how you could say
we don't know because he doesn't fucking say it, does he? He doesn't say like, oh, this is a really tragic story. This one girl that this happened to, blah, blah, blah. He just throws it in there immediately afterwards.
But we all know that there isn't like this mass rape happening. So I don't think he's trying to say they're all rapists, which is the point of the identity claim.
This is like insane to me. No. This is like fucking insane to me. Because if there was some leftist piece of shit who was saying this literal same fucking sentence about men in general, everyone would have a problem with it, and we wouldn't be having this conversation because you agree with the politics of it. But when suddenly people don't agree with the politics of it, it's like our brains fucking turn off and we play this game of fucking pretend. Right? If some social leftist piece of shit was talking about like, oh my God, you have all these men in the community and it's terrible and they're causing all these problems, comma, I'm angry that young girls are being raped and sodomized by savage men, we'd all say, well, as a man, I'm very offended by this. You're casting negative stereotypes to men everywhere.
So
that would be identity politics too.
It would be.
I can easily just say you're doing the same thing.
I'm not doing the same thing. How?
You are just as biased against Trump. Like parsing these words, if I'm doing it all, I agree with the politics, so I'm just doing it. Well, you don't. So you can just be doing the opposite then. So what's the point in even having the interpretation? But the only reason I give it credibility is because he referred to them as criminals. And Donald Trump uses that term all the time to define a class of illegals that come here. He says they're sending criminals. They're sending, all the, insane asylums, pick your claim. So the fact that he said criminals is the only reason why he didn't just say illegals are here raping people.
Yeah, but how is it better if the people, because if you're just saying, well, everyone they're sending here is criminals and they're not.
No, that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is some of the people coming here are criminals. Okay. Right? There are criminals who get in, and he's basically making this claim and he says it all the time. They're sending their criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he's not saying they're all criminals, but he's saying they're sending their criminals. So the fact that he said there's this town, there's a lot of illegals there, that's causing all these problems. I'm scared that, some girl will get raped by some criminal. I think he's referring to the group that he says they're sending their criminals. That's what I think he's doing. And the only reason I think that is because he constantly says that all the time. He differentiates and talks about illegals and criminals. And he even mentioned in the quote you gave me, the Venezuelan gangs. He doesn't think every Venezuelan is part of a gang.
Okay.
So, and I'm
sorry I yelled at you, Ostracey.
That's fine. You can yell at me.
I love you.
I don't mind.
You can rate me. You could rate
yell
me
at
with your
Ostracey.
Venezuelan gangs whenever you want.
No, I don't want to do it. But yeah, I guess the only other question, or there's two things I wanted to ask. As I said, I don't think we have time to go into the whole like border crossing, remain in Mexico policy stuff. There were two things I wanted to ask. One is about Tim Walz, and I was curious about you guys do you guys like or think he's doing good with the whole like exuberant kind of arm waving style that he's put out there?
I've seen nothing Tim Walz has done. So aside
Okay.
from being Kamala Harris's emotional support animal.
Fair.
Yeah.
I thought at first that maybe he would do well because he's a lot more personable than Kamala, but I haven't seen anything out of him since he was chosen that has made me think that he was a good choice. I don't think he's really doing much to help Kamala except to seem like a goofy sidekick. And I don't, that helps Kamala, I guess, in terms of like if you chose Josh Shapiro, he would have outshined her and
Oh
everyone would
my
ask why the fuck he
God.
wasn't the candidate.
Oh
So
my
maybe that's
gosh.
like the problem. But I don't think Tim Walsh is like picking her up necessarily any votes. So
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
imagine Josh Shapiro next to oh yeah. He would have
Right.
just dominated that Dana Bash interview. Everyone would be like, "Oh my God, it's the second coming of Obama."
Right.
All right. The only other thing I had, because I was told I would argue, and we already did, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
Is your guys' housing takes? And it's something
Okay,
I know I've
good.
super chatted before.
Finally, something
There
of
you go.
substance.
Yeah. So
Where are you at on the
guys,
Baldo?
something that you guys have consistently said that I like was the most weird. Like I've never heard this take before,
Mhm.
but this idea that the housing costs or housing prices are going up because homeowners vote to suppress more homes being built.
hmm
Okay.
I've like
Yeah.
literally never even heard that concept in my life. And in
Really?
fact,
That's
as
like
a
a
homeowner,
very
I
common,
literally
that's a super common thing that's talked about.
What are you
Is
talking
this,
about? Like every
yeah,
time
really?
they talk about building some apartment complex or some condominium place, like 1 million homeowners show up at the city council and are like, "No, don't build that building next to us.
so
Our
apartments I can
property values will go down.
well, so that's what I would argue
You're
because
letting the Haitian migrants move into the apartment complex next to my home? My God,
Exactly.
they'll be eating my cats and dogs."
so the thing is that what you did is you assigned it to house value, but I think there's a lot of reasons people don't want apartments near them that aren't assigned to house value.
But it's still, if like the housing units were higher, the price would go down. You agree with that, right? Simple supply and demand.
Sort of yes and sort of no. So my opinion has always been, as a homeowner owning a home now, is I want more stuff built near me because I live in a small town. So
Right.
the appeal of a town goes up when you have more people because there's more services.
Right.
So I've
Okay,
always had the
look, that's
opposite take.
interesting. Yeah. So that is an interesting. So there is kind of a like a density middle ground that people are shooting for. So you're obviously on the lower density. So you're like looking to raise the density. You're like, "Look, we're too small." But someone who's in my situation where it's like the big city, everyone's like, "Get the fuck out of here. We're too dense. Our people density is too high."
Right. And
Yeah.
well, I guess the other aspect, as I said, is tying it to house value. Is I don't really consider the house value in the decision at all. Like my house isn't worth enough that I have to consider if somehow even it went down like, I don't know, 25% over the next 30 years, which would be ridiculous because that would mean it didn't appreciate at all. So it's not just 25%, it's whatever inflation was too. That would mean nothing, basically nothing to me. And
Right.
it's mostly just because my house isn't worth like that much. And this is why, when I super chat, I think like I I feel like if I was in California, like where Adam is, yeah, I'd be like horrified about the idea of my house value going down because the house
Right.
is so expensive and it's
hmm
so overpriced that, realistically, let's say, those LA homes that sell for like 1.5 million or whatever that are actually probably in like a fair market worth 200K. It's like, okay, you're losing 1.3 million in value. Yeah, I
Right.
understand why you're protecting that. Right? That makes
Yeah,
sense. I
look.
believe they would do that.
Obviously, and a lot of people, their home is their retirement plan. So, but I guess maybe it is just like a California thing.
Well,
But look, it's California, any city where people want to move, because that's what drives the prices up.
I think the confusion is it's not just a density issue, because like if you live in some, neighborhood and suddenly they start building a bunch more houses, but they're all like, $1 million mansions or whatever, $2 million mansions in your neighborhood, you're not going to generally be upset by that because that's going to raise your property value, even though they're
Right.
building more homes. The question is that usually what happens is they want to build, I don't know, some sort of like, multi-family housing, capabilities or apartments or whatever, something that would house more people in a smaller area. And that's when all the home buyers get super mad and they say, you're going to drive down the price of our property. Right. So I'm assuming that's what, the Adam was referring to, or we were referring to and talking about. People are, voting for policies that are essentially limiting, housing stock in the areas that they live in.
I do think population density does play into the value of a home. Like, it's probably
But
a metric
it
that
can
they
help,
look at.
or it can, but it usually helps it. Well, it can help it depending on,
Help or hurt, depending upon what
it can help or
It's
hurt
like
depending
that
on what
Goldilocks
kind of,
zone. Yeah.
right, depending on what kind of housing is being built in the area. So I guess we should say it's not like a hard or fast one way or the other. It depends on exactly what's being built.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I would just be curious, who's the majority situation? Like me and, kind of my situation where I don't really care that much about the house value overall. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm more interested in getting services. Like, they built apartments up the road. I don't look at that and go, oh no. I usually view it as positive, as it's going behind a giant shopping center.
Well, if you live in
So,
like some area that's, not,
Yeah, the
in the
population
sticks
density
somewhere,
is low. Yeah.
then yeah, I mean, it probably would,
You're
it's
trying to
gonna
get up to
benefit
that
you, right?
Goldilocks zone. If
Yeah.
you're in the Goldilocks zone, you're trying to avoid going out of the Goldilocks zone.
Right.
so which one is more common? Because the thing is, you guys kind of use this argument as a driving force for like policy on housing. And I'm sitting here thinking like, I don't think that's the right direction, because I don't, like, you guys kind of say this, well, homeowners are suppressing all this stuff. That's why housing units are expensive. That's why housing is so high.
Mhm.
And
Look,
I'm looking at it
you're
going like,
literally
I don't know if
saying,
that's true.
look, you're literally saying you want housing density to go up because it would make where you live more desirable. You don't think the area being more desirable will increase the value of your home?
It may. I don't. It's too hard to say.
Yes, it will.
especially here.
It will definitely increase the value of your
For me.
home. Let me
Right.
dispel the mystery for you. Yes, more desirable places to live will increase the value of your home. So you're in favor of a policy that will increase the value of your home. Like, you're literally making my argument.
No, but if you were to say, hey, I could get the density, but the value of my house would go down, I'd still do it. That's
Right,
what I'm
but I
saying.
think-
It's not the
well-
But it
housing
won't. But it
Well,
won't. It
it
will make
might, 'cause
your home value go up.
value. My area, it's probably going to go down for a while regardless.
When is your breaking point at density? Like, if they decide to build 4 skyscrapers around your home, okay, and your home is just going to be in the middle
Sure.
there, like, is that a desirable situation for you?
No.
Okay, so that's not good. That will probably lower the value of your home too. Like, the
Sure.
desirability of the situation is what lower or raises the value of your home. And look, you're basically saying I wouldn't fight for the desirability of my area. These two things are correlated. You would fight for the desirability of your area, and that will affect your home price.
Sure, but I guess the thing to think about is, as I said, the principle of, will my house value go down? Would I still do it? And it might. Like,
Right.
if they built apartments right next to my house, I wouldn't particularly care, especially if it came with like a giant shopping center, for example.
Right.
But it might lower the value of my house.
Sure. Okay. So you're right to ask that, basically the aggregate numbers, right? And I would argue that, sure, you might be okay with it. I might be okay with it, but we're also surrounded by 100 neighbors, right? I think if we did a poll of those 100 neighbors, we're probably going to be in the extreme minority. Most of those neighbors, and numbers matter in democracy and in policy, most of those neighbors are going to be like, no, don't build that. I don't want it to affect the value of my home. Or build
That's what
that
I'm not
if it is gonna affect the value of my home. They're more interested in the value of their home than they are about anything else.
See, I'm not sure. That's the part that I'm not sure about. Like, I do agree there are a lot of people who are like that. I
Mhm.
don't know who has more though. I don't know which group, because I feel like there's a lot of rural, more rural people, or people who kind of are neutral towards it. As kind of people like in my situation. Um, I think there's a lot more of those, particularly if you're talking about house values, so single family homes. I think a lot more people are in that boat than in the kind of like either California ultra overpriced housing market, so I have to protect my investment boat.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so
I
we
still
should be here. Let's be very specific. Adam, these dirty, disgusting suburbanites living in their middle class or upper scale suburban neighborhoods with their NIMBY politics preventing people from building more homes or more housing units or apartments are helping keep the prices of housing high. Okay, is that better?
they are.
That is,
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah. Okay.
Unlike
That's
these
fair.
rural champions who want way more things to be built so that their property values can increase because they live in the sticks somewhere.
I know it's the same thing though, Sitch. You know it is.
Well, it's the
Like,
same
Both parties
motivation, but it creates a different outcome, right? They're in favor of building more, not less.
right. It will increase the value of their home, but
Right. But yeah, sure.
right.
but
So if
you
your argument
also
is,
get, and really it's like isn't it? I mean the value of the homes in the suburban areas is going to go down and the rural areas is going to go up,
Maybe.
right?
That's a good thing.
It's going to
There'll be
reach some sort of
price equalization
equilibrium.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, equilibrium.
But anyway,
so if you're, I guess the thing I was getting at though is, if your idea is that this is causing shortages, even if the motivation is, that my house value go up because if they build more shit around me, that means that, it wouldn't cause shortages. Right. So the demands of homeowners is not causing shortages. Maybe some, as I said, obviously, I do think this is true in some places. But overall, I don't know if that's the right mindset to have for the country as a whole if you want to solve the housing problem.
well, they're not building houses in the sticks because there's no demand for them though.
I mean, they're building houses around me.
Okay.
And I mean, a lot of houses around me, like probably too many,
Well, that's great.
arguably. Like,
We're like 4.5 million short, so
I know.
let them build
Well,
away.
they're trying, and that's the interesting thing is, when as it pertains to the issue is, I live near Austin, and
Doc.
Austin, what are you talking about? Austin is like crazy for home prices, off the charts, ridiculous.
have you seen Austin's house prices over the last 2 years?
What are they?
They've gone down like more than any other metro in like I think the country, because we build a lot of goddamn homes.
Well, there you go.
What are they though?
What do you mean? What are the prices?
Yeah, I'll look
Well,
it
I
up.
don't know. Yeah, I know my area because I'm like 30 minutes outside of Austin. So my area,
The
they've gone
average
down.
Austin, Texas home value is $500,000, $500,000. Okay,
Do
that's that's not cheap for the average
do Maine or
American. Okay,
Texas.
that's all. Look, we were talking about Austin. I specifically
Maynard
said
is
Austin. Look, Austin
12
is a
minutes from downtown
desirable.
Austin.
Austin is a desirable place to live. I want to live in Austin. Austin seems very pleasant, very nice, lots of stuff to
It
do.
is.
If they doubled the number of homes in Austin, what would happen to that average home price?
It would go down.
It would go down, right? Like maybe it settles out at about $200,000, and I could think about moving to Austin because it wouldn't be like so fucking expensive. Nobody can live there. Do you think the people who own those houses that are worth $500,000 that are banking on that $500,000 for their retirement want to see those houses built? Of course not. Don't.
Like,
No.
The thing is,
Don't.
the thing about Austin, the thing with Austin is it's not Austin itself. It's the outskirts where the houses are being built. So Austin itself,
Of
the prices
course it
have gone
is.
down.
Of course it is, because all those homeowners who live in the desirable places are like, don't build around here. Holy shit. We're in the Goldilocks zone for density.
Yep.
We want to
don't get me
keep it
wrong.
here. You build out there where the Goldilocks zone for density hasn't even been achieved yet.
The thing you got to understand is Austin's tiny as hell. Outside of Austin is 10 minutes.
Sitch, what?
Like,
Who?
it's not.
I think you have to be in the top at least in the top 10% of earners to be able to afford a $500,000 home, Sitch.
I mean,
my God.
Sure. If you look at like South Florida, it's some of the most inflated property value prices ever anywhere. So I'm like 500,000. Wow, that's like
oh my
half
God,
off
you're like
what it is
half
in Florida. Okay.
Well, I mean that's
Great.
completely cheap by LA standards. Are you kidding
exactly.
me?
So
I mean, you can get a new build home by me for 200 right now.
Well, that's great, but who wants to
good.
live in the sticks, Ostrich?
30 minutes out of Austin. How's that?
30 minutes.
Oh, that's
that's
evil.
awful.
You make it even worse.
Do you even have good sushi around you?
Yeah,
No.
exactly. I live
No,
like
but I need
5
more
minutes
houses
from
and then I
great
could.
sushi.
There you go. Exactly. That extra $500,000 costs is what all the sushi costs right there.
Of course, yeah.
And just go to Manor where I used to live. That town's 10 minutes from downtown Austin. You could probably get a house there for 300, 250.
Okay. There you
Well,
go.
that's great.
Well, I mean, yeah, to answer the question, I mean, I don't know who is more in terms of like, if you were to somehow calculate how many people live in a more rural area that want more people to move to them, thus want to build more homes, and how many people are in a suburb or an urban area where they want less. I have no clue. I'm guessing the suburb urban just because number one, there's generally more people that live in those areas anyway, just number wise. And number two, from my own personal experience, which is, not exactly science, but from my own personal Tim Pool anecdote experience, almost every single person I've ever heard in my entire life who owns a home is constantly talking about protecting the property value of their house. So
Of course, yeah. They complain about the neighbors. Oh my God, we got terrible neighbors. They're going to ruin the property values of all of our
just
homes.
like nonstop. Everyone I've ever known is talks.
Well,
about
that's a little different. Yes,
So.
I have heard that, but I haven't heard I don't want more houses being built. I don't want development because it'll affect the house.
Well, they want development.
That I've never heard.
They want development if it is like upper scale housing development, which thus will increase their property values. But that kind of defeats the point of what we're talking about, which is building more homes to lower prices, not building more homes to raise prices.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure, but you're still you're building more homes, so that would theoretically lower the price of the house.
Yeah, but
even if
not in your area. Not in your area, because if in your area, if they build more homes, it will get more developed, and that would raise your property value.
Look, I want them to build more homes in your area, so they stop threatening to build more homes in my area.
This is why I was saying I'm not sure if it would lower my value or up, because they are building more homes here, and that has made my house value go down slightly since when I purchased, not too much, but in general, because they're putting in like a brand new DR Horton neighborhood, yeah, house values here are going down, and
interesting,
or at least they will. Now, as I said, when the development comes, yeah, maybe they'll go back up overall, like on a 10-year timescale or something. But in the short term, they're building so many homes here. As I said in a super chat the other day, there's some speculation that they may have overbuilt in Austin. Overbuilt, particularly apartments, not so much single family homes, but apartments.
Well, there you go. So, now you know why they don't want you to build more, because they're like, no, you're bringing the property values.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Well, that's all I had. So,
okay.
We'll do the other argument some other time so I can yell at Sitch for Remain in Mexico.
All right. We'll do it next time. Take care, man. Thanks for coming on.
Later.
Bye.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah. Through the wormhole for $2 says the guy carrying the goose was clearing roadkill. I've heard that.
Really?
So there's a picture of a guy who's carrying like a dead goose or something. And that like people were pointing to. I've heard repeated constantly that he was clearing roadkill. I've never looked into the story because I don't really care. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I don't know what they're basing that off of. So I don't know if that's like been an established fact that somehow with 100% certainty they know that he's clearing roadkill or not. But I've heard that being repeated constantly. So
yeah, he's gonna eat it.
Gene the Angry Penguin for $5 says, quote, they are filling jobs is new speak for they are keeping wages low. Yeah, it's weird because like you had that video of the factory guy talking about how, he wants more Haitians. And I was like, okay. I mean, it's funny because he was basically saying like, the native community. Now, I don't know what the ethnicity is of the quote native community in Springfield, Ohio that he's referring to. He's
They're
talking about white people,
lazy.
black people, Hispanic people, Asian people. But he's like, yeah, the native community, native Ohioans are all like on drugs and lazy, and these Haitians are good workers, which I thought was kind of hilarious.
Really? Oh, that's fascinating.
So,
So
but
they
also,
eat a cat or two. Who cares?
yeah, who cares? They come to work on time. I'll provide the cats for them, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, but no, it obviously does drive wages down, which is kind of hilarious. You know, we were talking about the other day about the Teamster guy or the Teamster union not really supporting Trump or Kamala officially. So I wonder if the immigration issue could definitely be a big factor in that, you know, in those people's thinking about all this stuff. Recovery mode, thanks so much for the $20. Says if the cats and dog stuff is in fact fake news, then Kamala should share unsubstantiated stories about Trump supporters sleeping with their cousins and then laugh when MAGA does a 180 melts down over her bigoted fake news. There you go.
Yes,
There
that
you
would
go.
be
Exactly.
identity politics as well.
Right. Fondue for $5 says sounds like Adam is still hedging for custodial voting. Although, is this the guy everyone is saying is weird? Yes.
It is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, if he becomes vice president,
Well,
I'll take it.
I will say, I don't think he came off as weird in that interview. So
No,
that's
he
good for him.
was seasoned politician. If
So, I don't know,
Kamala could deliver that performance, this election would be over.
That's true. That's true. She is such an inept politician. It is kind of baffling.
It's so funny because this is exactly what Scott Adams said. He said, she is like the dream candidate. It's perfect. Look, everyone's going to fall in love with her. She's going to win the nomination. And as soon as she opened her mouth, he's like, okay, well, I was obviously wrong about that.
Well, because that's I think that's how she's gotten as far as she's gotten in politics is that you look at her on paper and she seems like she should be the perfect candidate. She hits the
That's
identity
that
politics
Indian
boxes,
stereotype, right?
There you go. She hits the identity politics boxes. Okay, she's half black. She's half Indian. Well, Indian's not really super desirable in America, but she's half black, which is a desirable trait.
Well, they're
She's a
thought of as
Democrat.
hardworking though, and super
Well, that's
smart.
true.
Yeah,
but I don't think people are thinking of that when they're doing the calculation. But you were correct. That would be a potential stereotypical plus. But then also it's like, okay, so you have a Democrat who's half black, but was also a prosecutor, right? So the thought process is,
oh yeah, tough on crime.
Exactly. That they hit the ethnic, you know, things for the Democrats, but they're tough on crime because they were a prosecutor. That's the thought process that goes into it. And you also think that someone who's a prosecutor of that level, you would expect them to be professional, intelligent, hardworking, you know,
well-spoken.
Right. Exactly. You'd expect all these things. And then, so you see it on paper and you go, okay, this candidate's going to kill it. And then you hear them open their mouth and you go, holy shit.
Yeah. Train wreck.
Train wreck. Yeah. It's funny. So it's funny because like my parents had the exact same inclination about it too when that came up. They were like, because I remember in 2020, they're like, oh my God, you know, Kamala should be it. She's gonna totally crush Trump, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, let's, you know, hear her speak. And then we heard her speak, and I said, oh my God, what are you talking about? You're crazy. That was interesting. My parents, they never could correct their initial view, even after they heard her speak at the debate and everything in 2020. They're like, no, she was perfect. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. So I heard this is fucking wild.
Cognitive dissonance, man. It's a hell of a drug.
Right. Dialogue always for $5 says, how did Adam go from, quote, these things said about Trump is leading to these shooters to you shouldn't blame JD for his rhetoric leading to bomb threats?
Well, like I said, the nature of the claim is paramount. How incendiary it is, how pervasive it is, how long sustained it is over time. Like all those are factors. So you're just comparing apples and oranges here.
Ryan Uhl for $5 says that dad also said he wished his son would have been killed by a 6-year-old white man instead of an immigrant. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did he really?
That's fucked up. Did he really?
Oh my God. Maybe he should stop talking about
Oh my God. That's wild. Okay. Well, that definitely changes the context of that whole thing. Oh my God. That's crazy. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. Luke Nagel for $2 says no one is their own worst enemy more than Trump. That's definitely true. That's definitely true. One man band for $10 says, does anyone truly believe there are no migrants eating stray cats and wild birds? And if 200,000 of them go to one area, is it not going to become apparent? Well, that's the issue, is that I'm sure someone somewhere is doing it. The question is there a trend? Is there a trend of people doing the action? I don't believe there's a trend of immigrants that are going around eating stray cats. I've never seen that ever. And there seems to be no evidence of that. So
I mean, if they're eating the strays, they're doing us a favor, right?
right. Well, I guess if it's eating strays, you could make that argument. People don't, if they're eating the pets, as which was the claim, right? It's a little bit different.
They're eating
So,
the dogs.
they're
They're eating the pets.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Libertarians Hat Squatch for $2 says, why is it racist? I know you're gonna have to ask Matt Walsh that. He seems to be the expert on that.
God, I can't wait to see that movie. Everyone's talking about it.
Blaine's Escape Corner for $5 says, I've had friends growing up that ate pets, didn't steal them, but eating them happens. That's where I think some people are stuck. Grew up in Seattle. Wait, what kind of pets?
Yeah, like a chicken.
Yeah, like, wait, they have like a pet chicken or pet pig? Don't tell me they were eating like dogs and cat pets. What the fuck, Blaine?
Yeah.
What kind of psychopaths did you know in Seattle who are eating their dogs and cats? That's a little fucking crazy. So,
Yes. Isn't there a famous story where I think it's Charlotte's Web, right? Where the pig is like befriends the child.
No, he is there a child? I just remember like the spider writes in the web, you know, like some pig and all sort of shit so that they don't eat it.
They're trying to save the pig.
Right.
But bacon is so delicious.
Let's see. Fondue for $5 says, how do you distinguish between the effects of social contagion and stochastic terrorism? Ooh. I don't know. It's very difficult. I think it's very difficult to parse those two things. That's part of the issue. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have an answer to that?
Not really. I mean, I'd have to really meditate on that one for a while. I mean, they're sort of intertwined a bit, but I mean, you got different things going on though.
Right. Oh, did the skip thing? Where's I? Jay Hendricks for $5 says, a Trump movie with Will Ferrell, Donald Trump, and Leonardo DiCaprio as JD Vance.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Why Leo as JD Vance? That's a weird casting. That'd only be if it's what's it called? Who's that guy that puts Leo in all his movies now?
Who knows?
Famous director Scorsese. This was a Scorsese movie.
Oh yeah.
King Ranch for $10 says that he doesn't like you, Adam.
Does he?
Yeah, he doesn't like you. I love Adam with all of my heart and soul. Okay, so go fuck yourself, King Ranch.
Oh my God, look at this. King Ranch for $10. Sitch, consider getting a new co-host who can form a coherent thought and argument. Wow, geez. Adam's unwatchable and a liability to your growth. Oh, okay. Jeez.
Oh my. I know, he's mad.
Got Sitch 10 buckaroos. Thank you, Ethan.
But thank you for the $10. Blaine's Escape Corner. He told me it was pet dogs.
Look, no, that is a perfect response. Thanks, Ethan.
10. You said people were eating their pet dog. Wait, okay, hold on, Blaine. When you're saying that they're eating their pet dogs, was it like their pet dogs were like gonna die, or they died and then they ate them? So like they're like, oh well, they're dead, so they don't want them to go to waste. We will absorb their spirit into our own, or something. Or was it like, I'm tired of having Fluffy around and like he keeps peeing on the furniture, so I'm gonna fucking kill him? Because that's a pretty big difference in those two things. That's what I want to know, Blaine. Oh wait, he responded here. Ew. Wait, what do you mean just cheap meat? No malice, usually really sad. What the fuck, bro? What? Okay, that is psycho. What the fuck? Were they like What the fuck? Were they just like the pets of the children, and the parents are like, whatever, we need like a burger. We just grab this dog here. Like, what the fuck? That's disgusting. That's horrific. That is horrible. Okay. Terrible. Where's Donald Trump? He should have saved those pets. He should have saved those pets from being eaten.
Terrible.
Jan Moritz Cortemp Camp for $5 says, I think viability limitations around abortion are short-sighted. What if medicine improves and fetuses become viable upon conception in a few years? I agree. I mean, I've always said this. I think the viability from a concept like doesn't really make sense. So that's why I always said it was based on consciousness. It's just a coincidence that consciousness was lined up with viability.
Yeah.
Death by Sloth for $2 says, what's the saying? Dog bites man isn't news. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's a good point. When you see a news story that says dog bites man, you know, no one cares because it's expected. But when you see the news story that says man bites a dog, suddenly everyone pays attention, right? They go, oh my
Because
God.
it's ironic.
So,
Irony.
well, because it's ironic, but also because it's unusual, right? So,
yeah, I mean, you can think about unusual things that I do think irony has a bigger sway.
right.
Just, I don't know. It's so good, so juicy.
Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says, quote, if they watched the debate correctly.
Who said that?
I don't remember. Alex Wright for $2 says, I think Adam is becoming JD Vance's Scott Adams.
I love this. I love this comment. Thank you, Alex.
Listen, that custodial voting is like really doing the volume for you, right? Doing the numbers
Did he not do a great job in that interview? I mean, he did fuck up with the saying the word created, obviously, but look, I called it out.
He did. Well, here's a problem. There were some answers he gave that were really good. There were some that he gave that was awful.
Terrible,
yeah. That were kind of bad. I feel like it kind of evens. Well, I would say it evens out, but then it doesn't because the main issue that came out of it was the one soundbite that comes out of it is the bad, like the worst part of it. So
here is why that this is an unfair comment, because Scott Adams would spin that created line into like the smartest thing ever because it
you're correct
propelled the story into the stratosphere, and I'm just like, no, that's a major fuck up.
Right.
Yeah.
The Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says threatening the U.S. way of life implies all races. True. Let's talk about prepping for $2 says I just tuned in to Daddy and Daddy fighting.
It was a good one today, man. It got kind of heated.
Yeah. You fuck. It's okay. I still love Adam.
Look, we're
not getting a divorce. No matter what King Ranch says.
I don't know. Sooner or later. Look, at times you do adopt, because it does come up whenever anyone tangibly talks about dignity. You're like, oh yeah, that is identity politics right there.
Yeah, but you can't. Okay, why are you trying to restart the argument like a woman?
Why are you bringing up old shit?
Yeah, exactly. We were moved on. And he's like, no, I got to pick at this a little bit more.
No, we're done.
Fondue for $2 says, quick, someone throw Trump Jordan Peterson's book. Yes.
Is that going to help at this point?
Don't lie. Try to be, clear and precise in your speech.
Yeah, be precise in your speech. Yeah, he's missing that one big time.
Lucio for $2 says 5150. I don't know what that's in reference to.
Lou Silver was on a show too, I guess he was on a show and he didn't give us a shout out, but he's going back on the show to give us a shout out, which is nice. Thank you, Lou.
Yeah. Monker 002 for $2 says it went from criminal alien to Haitians once pressed. Yes, whatever that means. Fondue for $5 says it also peeves me when people don't understand what I'm saying when I'm trying to be as precise as I can, but I do think Adam's distinction is useful. There you go.
Why are you bringing up old shit, Fondue? You trying to get me in trouble here?
Orca for 13 says, my father once cited me not saying BLM in a private convo as racist. Struggle sesh vibes. I want to help him, but you can't force a horse to drink. Very true. Very true.
This definition that I'm using is Francis Fukuyama's. I'm a huge fan of Francis Fukuyama. You guys might not like him because he's super like lefty into liberal democracy and capitalism and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it's from his book Identity, which is an amazing book. You guys should read it. Yeah, check it out.
Mr. Milton for $5 says Trump talks. Oh, wait, I skipped one. M8566 for $5 says Trump did say Mexico is sending murders and rapists and only some are good people. Well, that's a good point, too. He didn't say they're sending people. Right. And he
some
assumes,
are good
right.
people.
That's
like,
true. Well, but you agree with that, right? Because that's a massive distinction. He didn't say they're sending a bunch of people. Some of them are murderers and rapists. He said, no, they're sending murderers and rapists. So that's like the majority. And of them, the majority, some are maybe good people, right?
Yeah.
So that massively, that's a good point. That massively changes the context. All right, hold on, I'll be gotta be our BRB right sec.
Okay. I'll read another super chat. Mr. Middleman for $5. Trump talks like a fortune teller or a horoscope. He speaks and his people just hear what they want to hear from him, regardless of what he's saying. So, yeah, I mean, there's a bit of that going on. And that's like a normal political thing to like keep it vague so people can interpret whatever they want. This is probably a good example of this would be him on abortion when he comes out and says, oh, I'm going to make a spectacular deal. You're going to love the deal. Everyone's going to love the deal. So everyone can kind of walk away from that thinking, oh, I'm going to get the deal that I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some of those people want certain restrictions, but they want abortion to be legal. And some want abortion just banned outright with no restrictions. So obviously, both those different people aren't going to be happy. So,
Right, but that's the problem is that it's intentional that they're talking like that vaguely. So, and it's annoying when like there's this sort of like pretending like it's not happening.
I love this new system here because I bring the super chats up, but in order to comment under my screen name, I have to comment in the super chat thread. So you see my response.
There you go.
So Fawn2 for $2 says, no, Sitch, never go full Destiny.
I never will go full Destiny. Don't worry.
And I responded, I was offended by the Destiny comment too. Gross.
Right. Let's talk about prepping for $10. Thank you. It says if you moved 20,000 Idahoans to Ohio, it would be absurd to suggest that anyone would be raped. But it's true that such things will happen with illegals. This is all I glean from his statement. Yeah, but see, that's actually, you're incorrect. That's the problem. If you were to say, we're going to take 20,000 people from anywhere in the country and move them in to a community. First of all, if you move 20,000 people into a community of 60,000, you're going to cause some level of instability regardless, number one. Number two, especially if you have 20,000 people who are probably, especially with migrants, lower income, class situation, is it really going to be that surprising if you see an uptick in crime? And of course not, right? Not at all. Even if you just had 20,000 random people, if you randomly pick 20,000 people and shove them in a town of 60,000, you would expect that there's going to be an increase in crime. Because the population is increased by a third, right? Just by random statistical chance, you're going to get an increase.
Sure.
Orca for $5 says, I'm glad you guys...
I just want to say, look, on the Destiny comment, there's like probably a 90% chance that that's going to get clipped and end up on Destiny's subreddit.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I just want to be on the record saying
I'm sure, listen, I'm sure that some insane dipshit, someone who really wants Kamala Harris to fuck them in the ass every day as they masturbate to release.
True. It's true.
As they visualize punching Donald Trump in the face, will clip out everything I said in the stream and somehow still cast it like I'm carrying water for Donald Trump and unfairly attacking Kamala Harris.
Oh, I guess you're right. They can't really clip that out because it completely goes against their narrative, the phony narrative.
Well,
that
they
want to
can
continue.
They can. I'm sure there's some sentence that they could clip out of context to create the
I'm gonna
narrative
look.
that you
I'm gonna
want.
drop it down to 50-50 because the
Right.
thing, like all these people so want to suck Destiny's dick that they're going to be like, oh my God, look, it's a clip of Sitch saying like he agrees with Destiny. And oh, Destiny will just, oh, he'll let me in his bedroom tonight if I clip this out and post it on the subreddit, right? Oh, the
Mhm.
perfect clip of Sitch saying he agrees with Destiny, right? But they'll be conflicted because they'll be like, but wait a second. We have this phony narrative that they're giant Trump supporters, and where he agrees with Destiny is about all the Trump supporters gaslighting about Trump's bad behavior.
Mhm.
So they're going to be like,
Well, to be clear,
what do I do?
I didn't say I agree with Destiny. I said I was going to go Destiny in terms of like.
You
That's
said
what that was the joke. Never go full Destiny, right? So.
You're going down the Destiny route, though.
Right.
But I mean,
just,
there is the
just throwing
implication
my
of
hands up,
agreement, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It is funny.
Where was I? Orca Fried Artist says, I'm glad you guys can argue and still be chill. You don't catch Wormy in the crossfire. I need someone to vote for. Excited for the comic. Much love. That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
True.
Look, and that's the thing. You gotta build trust. Like we've built trust for years here. So
right.
I mean, if somebody wants to come on and like even Ostracy's been in the chat forever. Like, so
Right.
obviously we're gonna give him some latitude. But
Sure.
these people like Hutch and Pisco, like they want to come on and just it just screams bad faith. It's like they're only doing it to attack our reputations, not because they really want to have some honest debate.
And also, I mean, for me, there's a big difference between like getting in a big argument and yelling with someone because you just disagree with them, and getting a big argument yelling with someone because they're lying about you. Like it's completely different.
Yeah,
context.
look, I do not want to. I don't want to misrepresent you. You don't want to misrepresent me.
Right.
We both believe that. Look, and our reputations are kind of tied up together. So if I hurt Sitch, I'm just hurting my own fucking reputation. Why would I do that?
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, all through my life, I can argue with friends and family about political issues, philosophical issues, right? And then, I mean, at least I'm okay just like kind of brushing it off, the moment's past, as long as no one is attacking, each other on a personal level.
Yeah. Of course. But look, a lot of people on the internet, they do want to attack people on a personal level. It's total mean girls. It's like, oh, that girl's a slut, right? It's like, that's exactly the same mentality.
Lucio for 2 hours says, now that I'm a home owner, I prefer scarcity. See, look, there you go.
I know. I gave him a heart. I'm like, yeah, exactly. You get it. Lou gets it.
Drew Dogman for $5 says they're from mental institutions, insane asylums, funny farms, and loony bins. They're emptying their jails and prisons. They're pokies and they're clinks.
Look, Drew,
I don't think any of that's true, but there you go.
You've bought into the Trump narrative.
There was one instance in, I think it was Venezuela, where there was, I believe, a confirmed instance where a bunch of people were let out of prison, and the idea is that a bunch of them did end up trying to come to America. So, but there's sort of this idea that Trump has been pushing, which is not true, which is that there's an intentional campaign by all these countries all around the world to intentionally send America as criminals, which is not going on. But
yes.
Abyssology for 7 Canadian. Thank you. Says first super chat with an important message on how goddamn annoying predictive text is on YouTube. Go A team and S class, or A class and S team. Well, there you go. Thank you. And thank you for the first ever super chat.
Yeah. It's always nice.
Frank for $20. Thank you so much. Says thoughts on Aaron Hightech, former Border Patrol chief testimony. He said the Biden-Harris administration told him to keep his mouth shut about possible terrorists crossing the border. Yeah, I saw that claim was being made. I don't really know anything about it. Obviously, it should be investigated if that is the case. I wouldn't really be that surprised if it's the case, because you could definitely foresee someone in the administration telling someone to keep their mouth shut during a an election year on something like that. But obviously, if that's the case, it's horrible. If it's not the case, then fuck him for lying. So I would be curious. I think he testified. I'd be curious to go back and listen to his testimony to see if he gave a very, very specific, like what exactly was the claim that was being made. So, Blaine's Escape Corner for $2 says people want home value to be low to save on tax. Until, I don't know what the until was in, but
until they sell for sure.
oh, I mean, I've never had that experience of interacting with a person that's like trying to run. Like, I don't even know how you could plan that out. Where you could say, I want my home value to be low. And you're going to like, how could you like plan a series of policies just so the tax is low until you sell? I mean, that's not generally like a feasible strategy for home ownership.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess you're right. Like theoretically, that'd be nice. I don't know if anyone's really acting upon that.
Higher taxes do suck.
Right. Michael Gallup for the $5, $10, $15, $20 was very heavily triggered and is now accusing me of lying. Says, Sitch, you lied about what Trump said. No, I didn't. I literally read it. I believed you and was on your side until you read what he actually said, and you keep lying even after he said, I'm worried about the young girl, not girls, but you keep saying lying about, so stop lying just because it's what you want to hear. You can criticize things while not lying, and him bringing up the one rape example I think is fine. His other diatribe about, and I assume some other people, is what I have an issue with, not bringing up one rape example where he doesn't say young American girls, he says girl as in one. No, he says young. First of all, I guess you misheard me, or I don't know if I misread it. I'm looking at the transcript. He says young American girls, plural, being raped and sodomized and murdered by savage criminal aliens. So he's saying plural. So I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, thank you for $20. All Souls Night for $10 says, hey, Sitch and Madam, out of the blue anime recommendation. But if you haven't, you should watch Spice and Wolf. It's a medieval setting fantasy with a big emphasis on economics. There's literally a crypto allegory.
Wow.
Spice and Wolf?
Well, you've grabbed my attention with that one. That's for sure.
There you go.
I do like me some economics in my anime. How's that even possible?
That sounds weird. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
It does sound weird, doesn't it?
Medieval anime, but with an emphasis on economics. I'll check it out. M8566 Richard says Idaho equals New California. There you go. True. Luso for $5 says if January 6th never happened, who would Destiny be voting for now? I mean, I would imagine he'd still be supporting Kamala. I don't know if he would be supporting. I don't know if he'd be so anti-Trump to the extent that he is, but I assume he'd still be supporting Kamala pretty handily. So,
look at this. Val Van Gogh likes the late stream.
Val Van Gogh for sure says more late streams. Well, thank you. Glad we could help you with this. Night of the Diamond Spoon for $20. Thank you so much. Says, I knew it. The test proves it. Adam and Sitch. Yes, I did it on purpose. Are far-right, sexist, homophobic, racist Nazis. Everyone knows if you're not on the left, you're on the far right. Sorry, I didn't make the rules. There you go. That's the clippable thing when we read out the, we both ended up on the right when we took the little political test. So.
Oh yeah, that's going to get clipped for sure. It's so weird. I don't know. Whatever.
Right. Night of the Diamond Spoon for $5 says, y'all haven't seen the year-old video of the migrant cooking the cat on the grill. I did see that video, and it seemed unclear to me what exactly was being cooked. So
I did not see that video, but it sounds horrifying.
Right. They don't plan it. They just complain every time they get the tax bill. Oh, yeah, of course. Definitely. That was regarding the Blaine's comment. Yes. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick here. I remember I looked at it and I was like, this is the evidence. So it wasn't the best. So okay, I can't see it right now. Night of Diamond Spoon for $5 says, fuck that dad in Ohio that lost his spawn. Oh my God. Listen.
Jeez.
Be a little nicer. His child died. I mean, I know what he said was fucking crazy. He said he wished his son was killed by a white man so the right doesn't point out the increase of illegals driving the cars that did not learn how to drive. I mean, I understand it's like a fucked up thing to say, but, you know, his son died. So.
It is fucked up for him to be using his son politically as well. So,
right.
And then to be bitching about Republicans using him politically. But look, I'm with you, Sitch. Like, when your son dies, you have to be looking for some good out of it, some meaning
Right.
beyond just the senseless tragedy of it. So he's probably trying to do that with this political stuff.
Well,
But
let me find the quote because I want to know exactly what he said.
okay.
Let me see here. Maybe it says in this article. Nathan Clark didn't mince words where he stood before the Springfield City Commission on Tuesday after online accusations about Haitian immigrants drew national attention to Ohio town. Quote, "You know, I wish that my son, Aiden Clark, was killed by a 6-year-old white man," Clark said. "I bet you never thought anyone would ever say something so blunt. But if that guy killed my 11-year-old son, the incessant group of hate-spewing people would leave us alone. The last thing we need is to have the worst days of our lives violently and constantly shoved in our own faces." Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
not as bad.
I think it's not. I think when you hear the full context, it changes the statement dramatically. But because it sounds like more like he's saying, he just doesn't want to have he doesn't want his child's death to just be constantly blared out on the news constantly and just have to relive it every day. So
We'll add it to be some immigration talking point.
right, but I'm just saying from at least that statement, I have to go find the whole clip of him talking. And that statement, he's not even saying necessarily like, "Oh, the poor migrants." He's saying he wants to be left alone. He said, "Incessant group of hate-spewing people would leave us alone. The last thing we need is to have the worst days of our lives violently and constantly shoved in our face." So it's not like
Sad.
it's not like that woman. There was some woman a while ago who, remember, she got like raped, and she was like,
I do remember, yeah.
didn't want to. She's like, "Oh, I didn't want to tell anyone that it was like by like a black guy or something, because she didn't want to
Oh,
create
I
negative
don't know. I'm
stereotypes."
thinking, oh, wow. I don't know about this story, but
What were
that's
you thinking?
awful.
I forget. It was something like that. I don't remember the exact thing that
It
she
was the
said. But...
jogger who was raped and killed.
Oh, no. That's
Yeah.
a long time. Yeah.
She didn't say anything.
Well, obviously. Arithmus for $2 says, "The housing discussion is fascinating to me because I can't even fathom the idea that your house could be a retirement plan. I'm sitting here in a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,400 square foot house that's worth $230,000 versus $104,000 in 1991. There you
Right.
go. I guess it depends on where you live, obviously, but yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. Sella for
Yeah.
$2 says, "On Kill la Kill, I can see your point. I just think because those two age groups are somewhat close, it's a bit of a gray area. It's not Yoko from Gurren Lagann, who's 14 but looks 25 max. That's true. Mako's still short stack. Love the character though. There you go."
All right.
Orca for $15. Thanks so much. Says, "Pound sand, Michael. I'll match you. A-team and S-class, catch your sass and throw thine ass." Well, thank you, Orca. Appreciate that. Look at that. Look at the love. All Souls Night for 2 months. Thanks so much. As also, Adam, I will be buying the comic if you can confirm Big Mommy Milkers on at least 2 pages.
Only 2 pages? Oh my God. I think I might have gone a little too crazy.
There's a lot of Mommy Milkers in that comic book. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Ostracy for $2 says, "Good stream. Thanks for having me on." Well, thanks for coming on, Ostracy. Thank you for the $2, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
JMac, our circuit father, tag JMac for the $20. Thank you so much. Says, "Bad news, guys. My wife left me to visit the UK." Well, listen, how dare she? That's terrible. "Send me spicy memes on Twitter so I can send them to her to get her in trouble with the crown." Well, there you go, guys. Send JMac your spicy anti-Brit memes so he can send them to his wife and can cause an international crisis when they try to arrest her. Okay.
What happens if she retweets some of those? Does she get thrown in the jail, in the UK jail?
You know what's crazy? There was like a Twitter ad that I actually clicked on because it was for a product. I actually was like, "Oh, I might buy this." Okay.
And it was a scam?
No. But like I didn't purchase it. I just like kind of like looked at the website on my phone and then I like put it away and I'm like, I'll go like buy this later. And it's like now fucking every ad on every website on both my phone and my computer is that same product. It's like insane. It's like really trying to make me buy this product because I clicked on this one ad. Yeah.
It's insane when you actually buy the product and they're still showing you ads like 6 months later. You're like, I already bought this fucking thing.
Right.
It's like, geez, update your program or something.
Solid for Jar says, you missed my last super chat from yesterday in Vance. Oh, no.
Really?
You're right. I did. Solid for Jar says, it wasn't Loomer's tweet specifically, but just her being in Trump's circle that concerns me. I've been in a similar situation to Vance. He might think if he pushes back, he's being a snowflake. Usha should divorce him, or whatever his wife's name is. I mean, I don't think she should divorce him, but well, I don't know what the relationship is like. But yeah, I mean, it is. It definitely puts him in a very awkward situation. So very unfortunate. You don't want to put your bros in that situation. And so for another $2 says you should look into Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party of Canada and likely the next prime minister. His number one issue is housing affordability. You would disagree with him on other economic issues like monetary policy. Well, there you go. Look into it. Good old Pierre. How long has Justin Trudeau been the fucking prime minister? Has he been prime minister for like ever? I feel like it's been super long time, right?
Seems as though, yeah.
It feels like I don't know, like over 10 years or something.
In all honesty, I try to avoid Canadian politics.
That is true. He's been the 23rd prime minister since 2015. Okay, I guess it was 9 years. There you go.
Should be
and that
illegal.
is true. I do try to avoid it. Loose over for $5 says, Jay, are you sure you want to open the Pandora's box, my friend? There you go.
No, don't open it. It's too scary.
Phil123 for €6. Thank you. Says we need a new superhero. Bullshit man calling it out when he needed. Credit to Carl Plinkington. True. Very, very true. Anyways, thank you guys for coming today on our late stream. Thank you guys for your incredibly generous donations. Thank you, Ashti, for coming on and yelling at us. It was fun. Thank you, Adam, for yelling at me.
I didn't yell. I was chill.
Okay,
I was
you're
totally
right.
chill.
Okay, hold on. Thank you, Adam, for letting me yell at you.
That was great.
Okay.
I loved it. I can take a punch. I'm no pussy. Come on.
There you go. Unlike the cats being eaten. Fondue for $5 says, oh, before you go, I finally got around to play Darkest Dungeon 2. It's really addicting. I love the Lovecraftian style. I'm sure Sitch would love it. I played Darkest Dungeon 1. I did like it a whole bunch. I never, ever played the second one, but maybe I'll check it out.
All right.
Anyway, thank you for your incredibly generous donations, and we'll see you guys all on Sunday.
Bye-bye.